Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flock's Nest Sports Podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Dallas, reppin' 52 of the Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis.
On the other half, Brennan, repping 54, Bobby Wagner of the Seattle Seahawks.
We got a great episode for you guys today. It was Wild Card Weekend in the NFL, so of course we're going to talk that. Brennan will be covering the NFC while I cover the AFC. We're also going to talk college football, breaking news. I think we got some hot takes. We're going to do a hot take segment. Kind of go from there and just have a good episode. Keep the yelling to a minimum, but we shall see. Never want to limit ourselves.
Yeah.
Never want to limit ourselves.
Never want to make a promise we can't keep.
Yeah. So, like I said, breaking news, we had some firings and hirings and all kinds of fun stuff. So, Brendan, do you want to kick us off with what's going on in the NFL?
Yeah, so Black Monday happened last week. But after Black Monday happened, there was some extra little bit of firings, hirings, some other stuff. So the Raiders have fired their GM, Tom Telesco. They had fired him and their coach, Antonio Pierce. They did not do it at the same time, which was kind of weird, but they did make the decision to fire him. So they're now in the market for a new GM, along with the Jets and Titans. We did have a hiring already. This comes as a little surprise to literally nobody in the world. The Patriots have hired Vrabel. What the fuck is his first name?
Mike.
Is it?
Yes, Mike Vrabel.
Okay. Yeah, the Patriots hired Mike Vrabel.
I thought you were just rolling with Vrabel. I had no idea there was a problem until you asked.
Yeah, Patriots hire Mike Vrabel. Zero surprise to literally anybody. The minute Gerard Mayo was fired, everyone pretty much knew this is what was going to happen. So he is now with the Patriots. This is a record hiring, actually. Fastest a head coach has been hired. So that's wildly.
I mean, we knew the second Patriots job. I was like, Vrabel's now off the market.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what else is available. He's gonna go there.
I don't even think he interviewed there. I think they just hired him.
I'm a little confused by that because there are rules about how long it's supposed to take and how many people you're supposed to interview, and so I'm a little confused by how we circumvented that.
I wonder because if they, you know what? I bet it's because they didn't interview anybody and they just hired somebody. That doesn't matter.
Hired somebody?
Because I don't think like anybody.
I don't think you have to just if you do.
You have to
kind of thing.
You have to then interview elsewhere. I don't know.
So yeah, but was not surprised. Good luck to Vrabel and the Patriots. I don't have a take beyond that. That team is fucked. Good luck.
We'll see what happens.
I have a thing in hot takes, so we'll come back to them.
Okay. And then last but not least, on the new developments, the Cowboys have not decided to re-sign Mike McCarthy. So they are now in the search for a new coach. Obviously names like Deion Sanders have been brought up, stuff like that. But we'll see where the Cowboys go. And then for Mike McCarthy, he's already interviewed with the Bears and I believe the Raiders. I don't remember who, but he has started.
He's having dinner with top level people in Chicago yesterday or today.
Yeah, I knew that he was interviewing there, and that's about it. But yeah, so
I would say the Bears, I think, is probably where he's going to go.
Possibly, yeah. If he goes somewhere, it'll be the Bears, just based on current trajectories of where coaches are going.
love that. Um, I
But it's
think
also the
he's a good
Bears.
offensive mind, but I have stated I think you need a tougher coach. I think Caleb needs some tough love coaching. And that is not McCarthy's strong suit.
Well, the Bears are not known for making smart decisions at the head coach position, so just
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. That's a respectable point.
so we'll
Yeah.
see what happens there. But yeah, McCarthy. This does come after the Cowboys decided to not let McCarthy interview with the Bears. So, Cowboys just told him to go fuck himself one more time before he left. Nothing new.
It sounded
It sounded like they were still doing
like
negotiations, but
it came down to length of time. Is McCarthy wanted longer than what Jerry was willing to give.
which, okay. After the past couple of years, I don't know what makes you think he was going to give you a long-term deal.
I think the thought was, or at least my perspective, or if it were me, the team needs more than I can do in 1 year. Like, if you want to be a Super Bowl team next year, that's not happening. But also, how uncomfortable that building must have been with literally everybody's job in the balance. Nobody knows. Nobody has plans.
Yeah.
Like, where are we going?
And to be fair,
He's like, I don't want to go through that again.
This season also got derailed by Prescott getting hurt.
Yeah.
So
they were a shit show before that.
But with Prescott, you probably win a couple more games than
yeah.
with Cooper
So I
Rush.
just do. I get from McCarthy's perspective, and McCarthy had the leverage. He was like, look, other people want me. Other people want to interview me. If you want me back, this is what it's going to take. But I also get Jerry Jones going, I've given you 4 years? 4 years?
3? It's 3 or 4.
You had 3 12-5 seasons, and then this one. I don't remember if there was a season before the 12-5. So it's 4 or 5.
No. I think they went 3 in a row, 12-5, I think.
No, I know they did. What I don't know is if they had a season before that.
No.
With McCarthy.
He went 3.
Okay, so then 4.
Yeah.
Okay. So 4 years, we couldn't win a playoff game. Not going to cut it. This is in Pittsburgh, bitch.
That's where my hot take is, actually. Get there later.
So, yeah, I'm not surprised. I feel like it's one more way the Cowboys low-key fuck everything up. Because now you're into the coaching search too late.
Low-key or high.
So you couldn't interview Glenn or Johnson or any of those guys.
Now you have to wait until they're knocked out. And they're probably not going to be knocked out for a little bit. Just now.
Or you have to hope that Prime will go to Dallas. And that, I'm not going to speculate on that. If he goes to Dallas, we'll talk about it.
So far, what he said, I'm not going to speculate. This is what he said. Jerry called. What Jerry says, I listen. I respect him very much. But I love Boulder. And that's what he said. It pretty much.
So
I love Boulder is what he said. But
he said, he's like, we talked, we had good conversations, but I also love Boulder.
Yeah.
So I don't think, I'm not making speculation. I don't know that a decision's been made on that.
He's very
But yeah, if it happens, we'll talk about it. Until then, I don't fucking care. I'm not going to sit here and go, well, if Dion went to the Cowboys, don't care. If he's at that, we'll talk.
Yeah.
Till then, they don't have a head coach. And Jerry Jones fucked another thing up by waiting till the last minute. I realize there is a piece of news, technically, that's not on your little thing.
What?
Um, I've lost his name. Deshaun Watson
Oh,
re-ruptured his Achilles.
yeah. I forgot about that. 'Cause
Very sorry for him.
Also, though, how do you do that?
See, thank you. Because aren't you supposed to be in a boot?
Like,
Because he twisted his ankle. So I'm like, I don't understand.
how?
Like you had surgery
But how?
and then they wrap it, and you wear a boot for like 6 months, so that you can't do that.
So did
So
you do it getting up in the morning when you don't have your boot on? Like straight out of bed, just rolled your ankle.
yeah, just and that would be the shittiest luck on the planet. That would be. It's not funny. Like that would be the shittiest luck on the planet. But outside of, or like, did you fall in the shower kind of thing? Like, but otherwise,
How?
I don't understand.
Like how? See, I
So
completely forgot about that because I'm gonna be honest. I saw it and went, "How do you do that?" And then just
yeah,
left him alone.
nope. And so probably not going to play it all next year.
Yeah, he's done.
So, and I am going to be perfectly honest with you. I do not think he will start intentionally again.
I don't think he touches a football field again, unless it's the sideline. But even then, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think he does.
That's fair.
Like I think teams are just done at the, like. You had a chance.
I don't know, man.
Had you come out of
People get signed to some crazy shit because we're desperate. Daniel Jones got a lot of money, bro.
Daniel Jones didn't have the problems that Deshaun Watson currently has.
I don't
And that's the
disagree,
difference.
but the fact that he got that first contract,
That's the difference.
I don't know.
That's the difference. Is
I
one
will say, I think like he had so much time away because he sat out the 1 year because he didn't want to play for Texas, and then the suspension, and he came back and looked like shit, and now he's going to be out another at least a year and a half.
So it's not happening.
Like bro, fucking the lowest level of football that can be played plays better than he does at this point. So
yeah. So I'm like, it's not happening for him. I don't care. Mainly because I think it'll be almost a Kaepernick situation.
Where you're just gone.
Yeah. You don't play for that year. And you'll still be under contract technically unless they release him. But I don't know with the whole injury thing what that means.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, if it's cheaper to release him or to keep, you know what I mean, depending on how the pay works out.
That's my I don't know, and I
It
don't
may
know
be
if
cheaper
there's
just to leave it.
and I don't know if there's because he's hurt you can't if there's an injury guarantee in there where you just can't get rid of him.
Yeah, that would be shitty.
Or if there's an injury out since he's injured, you can get out of the contract. I don't know. I don't know what's in the contract.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
We shall see.
I doubt we'll see him again. That's just my opinion on it.
But no, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if you're right. It's a quarterback needy league. And depending on what the draft looks like coming out of next year, I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
Hell, even for a backup.
That might be the only reason is because teams will look at it and go, fuck it.
Yeah.
You can at least be
If you
backup.
can get him for cheap.
Yeah, which
Then
you can't get him for anything less. So, or for anything more than
Joe
cheap.
Flacco keeps finding a fucking home. I don't imagine he couldn't if he really wanted one.
Yeah, I agree. Like at this point.
So, yeah. Alrighty. Well, I do think that does it for breaking news.
Yeah.
Cool.
Uh.
Now into wildcard weekend.
Mm-hmm. Ravens got the win.
Ravens. They did indeed. Ravens versus Pittsburgh. 28-14. I'm not going to seriously get into the minutia of this game. What I'm going to say is the Steelers should be ashamed of themselves and should be embarrassed because it was embarrassing to watch, and I hate the Steelers. Like, it was hard to watch. 13 plays in a row, single drive. Didn't throw the ball once. Lamar and Derrick Henry just going, fuck it! We'll just run the ball. Good luck. I talked last year. Obviously, we weren't doing the podcast then, but you and I have been talking football for
too long.
At least a decade. About how you could see OBJ's impact on the team.
Yeah.
That suddenly everybody was doing like one-handed catches. Hell, Roquan had a pick with a one-handed catch. The level of stiff arming in this game by Ravens players that probably shouldn't be stiff arming people. It was uncomfortable.
And then you had a Derrick Henry
Lamar
stiff arm.
Yeah.
You were like,
Lamar had one, Likely had one, and then Henry went, he just slapped that motherfucker. He just went, get the fuck out of here. How dare you come near me? How dare you? Who the fuck do you think you are? That's what that looked like.
and what's worse is he did it to
And by the
Mika
way,
Fitzpatrick.
it's Mika Fitzpatrick, who's a Pro Bowler. And he just slapped the shit. He was like, get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Um,
Probably the second best person on that
defense.
defense.
It was a good Ravens win in the sense that they needed the win, obviously. And I do think it was shut the fuck up. It was one of Lamar's best performances in the playoffs. Yes. Start to finish, it was just a solid game. At no point did he look antsy, did he look nervous. All of those things we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
I said for years, I wish sometimes Lamar in big games would come out and run the ball a couple of times just to get himself comfortable. They did that.
Seemed to work.
But this game was way more about the Steelers.
Yeah.
I am not convinced anybody wanted to be there. I'm not convinced they understood they had to win the game. What was really sad is if you watch Hard Knocks, the amount of effort Tomlin tried to put into this game. Like I felt bad for him. Because Hard Knocks, he was like, I've read all these things about positive reinforcement. And I just think showing them images of them doing these great plays against the Ravens, against this Ravens team, and it'll help. And he took them to their actual stadium to practice one day. And he's doing all of these things to get these guys hyped and ready. And they go out there and go, bro, could we be anywhere else?
Yeah. It was not great.
It was horrifying. And we didn't know how to tackle. We didn't know. We had no rush lane integrity whatsoever.
So that's the thing. I don't know if the Steelers went into the game with this plan. If they did, not the right team to go into the game with this plan. But you kept the plan going into the announcer saying it. I don't know if the announcers are right, but they're like, the plan going into the game was to shut down the Ravens running backs. So anytime
Yeah.
it was an option play where he can hand it off to Henry, when Lamar could hand it off to Henry or Lamar keep it, the whole point of the defense was to just make Lamar keep it. I
Yeah.
mean, you're picking between
Yeah.
two evils and like having like making him give it to Henry or him keeping it. Like that's not a great choice.
I feel like if that was gonna be the plan, I still think it would have been better to attack Lamar.
Yeah.
Because I get going, okay, we really don't want to be embarrassed by Henry. Okay, that's a fair statement. I get it.
But you're gonna be embarrassed
But
by
if
Lamar.
you at least converge on Lamar, then Henry is only running it.
Yeah.
If you converge on Henry, Lamar goes, run it. Or, you know what, I'm going to go 2 yards closer to the line of scrimmage, and then, oh, hey, there's Justice Hill.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, there's Bateman in the end zone. So I
Just
just
not.
feel like the dual
Or
threat quarterback made more sense.
because it was TJ Watt a lot of the time doing it, which for him to be just blindly doing that, it doesn't make a ton of sense. He was hurt in the game, so maybe.
Yeah.
But TJ Watt's good enough to be able to read what's happening and to just not tackle Derrick Henry that doesn't have the ball every play. That's what was happening.
Yeah.
You'd
Well,
see
because it got to the
Watt come
point,
around.
Rosengarten just stopped blocking him. He was like, boom, take Henry. I'll block. So it's called a chase and replace.
Yeah.
So Watt comes through, and then another linebacker takes his spot for rush lane integrity, which wasn't a thing, so I use air quotes. So Rosengarten was like, Watt, go free.
Yeah.
I'll take the next guy behind you. Henry doesn't have the ball. I don't give a fuck.
So what I don't understand is as the Steelers, knowing Lamar is kicking your ass, and I mean that.
Yeah.
Lamar is
Yeah.
embarrassing you on live television. How you decide, okay, TJ Watt going to tackle Derrick Henry. That's fine. He can keep doing that. Because when
Yeah.
Derrick Henry gets
Fine.
the ball, if Derrick Henry gets the ball, he's down at like 1 yard gain. Sure. How you only have one guy then ready for Lamar to keep it, because clearly the Ravens knew. And again, you said
Yeah.
Rosengarten went, fuck it, I'll just block the next guy. How you don't notice that and go, okay, let's maybe
change it up.
Let's maybe not send TJ towards Derrick Henry. Let's do something else. Let's change it up. Let's improvise.
Well, and that
Let's
was
adapt.
the crazy thing is the Ravens are live reacting, right? You can't really game plan for a defense. The offense has a plan on this is what we're going to do. And they react in real time to how the defense is defending you.
Yeah.
Especially the Ravens, because you defend against the Ravens differently than you defend against literally every other team because of Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, you defend differently against the Ravens.
And Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
So they're in real time going, okay, this is what y'all are going to do. So we adjust. I'm wondering at what point the Steelers went, we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And eventually, the Ravens offense will stop.
Because seriously, it was like 20 times.
Why?
I've watched TJ Watt come around the edge and immediately go to Derrick Henry, and Lamar just kept it and ran right around him. And then just got to the edge.
And he was like,
and gained at least 5 yards before anybody came fucking close to him. And then, what's even worse is they would do it, and then Derrick Henry had like 186 yards on the game. So you weren't even doing it right, because Derrick Henry still embarrassed you.
Well, that was kind of the thing, is I thought, based off what the announcers were saying, is they were going to keep doing this over and over and over again. But at some point they decided, okay, Like, they kept flipping a coin. Like, last play we converged on Henry, this play will converge on Lamar. And they kept alternating, but they always were wrong. They were
'Cause you
like,
can
okay,
never be
now
right.
Lamar's going to have the ball.
Well, it's because you can't be
And
right.
then he's not. No, you can't. Especially because this kills me every time. If you watch it carefully,
Lamar will read you. He's reading TJ.
Lamar will wait to
Yeah.
let go of the ball. There's a play. Henry is like, they're running together. He has to rip his hands away from Henry's body because they don't know who's going to keep it yet.
Because Lamar is watching TJ. That's his only thing.
So
He's
I'm
watching
like,
to see if TJ goes to Henry or to him. And
or
then
to him. So I'm like, you get it wrong. At some point, do literally anything different.
At some point,
anything at all.
How you do this, how I would do this, I'm not a NFL coach, but how I would do it is man-to-man concept, okay? Not like receiver-wise, but like in D-line wise. So TJ Watt is being the one that's read. Okay, you have TJ stick on Lamar no matter what. Just have TJ, you do not let Lamar keep it. You have one of your linebackers, Patrick Queen, because he's the one I know. His job is Derrick Henry. Those two always are on Derrick Henry or Lamar. You don't switch it up. You don't make TJ pick which one to take. Each of you just take one and converge on that one any given play. That's how you combat that, technically. Yeah. But then that leaves you open to other attacks. But at the end of the day, you literally got embarrassed by Lamar and Derrick Henry. Yeah. No one else did anything.
It was hard to watch, and I wanted this outcome. But I have never seen a Steelers team give less effort.
Yeah,
honestly.
We'll get to my hot take in a little bit, but it has to do with that.
So yeah, that was that. Offensively, they played. Defensively, they had a little bit of miscommunication in the second half. It was actually a noise problem. Marlon Humphrey did talk about this post game that Roquan actually yelled at him for not communicating very well, but they couldn't hear. Stadiums make noise to confuse the offense. What they don't realize is sometimes that also fucks up the defense. They have to talk to each other too. They were struggling a little bit. So hopefully they get that figured out and right, because Buffalo is going to be loud.
And, bro, it's called silent cadence or silent count if you're on offense. On defense, it's silent, like, it's sign language.
I just don't think at home they were quite prepared to have that problem.
And yet,
the noise was a problem because Lamar yelled at the crowd too.
Here's my thing, okay? I think if you're a player on defense especially, and you're at home, if I'm on offense, I would not expect the crowd to be a problem when I'm at home. That's just my, like, the crowd should be quiet, should allow you to do stuff. On defense, you know going into the game that your crowd's going to want to try to get the offense fucked up of the opposing team. So how you don't approach the game knowing that it's going to be loud is kind of like it's kind of your own damn fault.
But yeah, even Lamar had to tell the crowd to shut up. Because they started chanting MVP, and he was like, bitches, I'm trying to do something here. Can we wait?
Okay, that is an offensive problem.
Yeah.
That, I agree with. The crowd should not be going on offense. That is true.
That's right. They quieted down. But yeah, a little bit of miscommunication on defense towards the back half. It didn't really matter. 14 points. It was kind of garbage time. Didn't care. Wasn't worried.
It will get you in trouble playing the Bills.
Yes. So, got to fix that. And then I had a mild take.
Okay.
I do think it's interesting. I think you can tell the if you never watched football, like you didn't know anything about the sport.
Okay.
and you're going to talk about this game later, but you watched the Packers-Eagles game.
Okay.
When Saquon Barkley slides and the Packers player comes up to him, immediately the Eagles surround him to be like, get the fuck out, like, get out of here. Like, you're not going to touch him.
Okay.
You can tell kind of who's most important, right? Because Jalen Hurts is trying to square up with a 250-pound defender, and nobody's moving Jalen Hurts. They're all worried about Saquon. Lamar took a knee to the back, and he is laying there at one point. And you can hear it on Hard Knocks way better, so I'll be excited when their Wired episode comes out. Justice Hill gets to him and does not ask him if he's okay. He's like, "You're okay. Get up." And he and Likely start just pulling Lamar off the ground. They're like, "You're okay. Just stand up, bro." And he's like, I'm feeling that one a little bit. They're like, "Nope, just get up." like the thought that he might have to leave this game is terrifying these grown-ass men. They're like, "Get up now." So I just think, and it's not like a comment on Lamar, it's that you can just kind of tell who the MVP of each team is based off how the team interacts with you.
Yes.
So I found that kind of funny. But yeah, they're just get up. He's okay. But it was kind of funny. No, he's okay. And then other news of that game, or other Ravens news, Lamar is more than likely the MVP of last season. Obviously, we won't know until NFL honors. But when a quarterback is MVP, the same people that vote MVP also vote All-Pro. That quarterback has always been the first team All-Pro quarterback, which happened to be Lamar this year, not Josh Allen. So statistically, he is probably the MVP. I don't know that for sure. I'm just telling you what the statistics and history tells us.
Yes, that is true.
Injury news, Zay Flowers obviously didn't play. Wasn't an issue. So every jackass reporter that thought it was going to be a problem, I was confused by. If he could live without Mark Andrews last year, he can live without Zay this year.
I don't think he can live without Zay next week, but that's a whole other thing.
I think he can.
I don't know. I think you need... Because here's my thing. I think next week will be much more of the offense needs to be at its best, and I think both phases need to be at their best, and I think with Zay, they're at their best.
So I completely agree with the point. I don't think Zay is obviously a better wide receiver than his other guys. But because of how Lamar plays football and plays quarterback, I don't know that he needs an elite receiver, especially where the Bills struggle. That is honestly more Bateman territory.
Oh, where they struggle, yes.
Yeah.
They do struggle deeper down the field.
They struggle deeper, and that tends to be Bateman kind of territory. Bateman and Andrews, depending on how it's going. So I do think you'll kind of feel that loss. I still think you can fill the hole with Aguilar.
You can manage. I just think you can manage without it. Like you can win the game without it.
Obviously, I would prefer to have him, and they would prefer to have him.
But I do think
I just don't know that it's vital.
I don't know if... I don't think it's mandatory he plays for them to win. But I do think
what I do know,
it significantly increases the probability they win. How about that?
That's fair. What I do know is he is still day to day. However, Harbaugh has stated even if he doesn't practice all week, but is good to go, he will play. They do not think he needs to practice in order to play.
Also, I don't know if you
So,
saw this because this came out today. Speaking of Ravens wide receivers, did you see what the Ravens did today?
yes.
Okay. Do you know why they did it? Because this is the best part. They have no plan on
No,
actually keeping him. But
I
by
believe that. I think it's to make sure nobody else takes him.
no, but by them claiming him, they get a 6th round pick out of it if he signs somewhere else.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Fucked up. No, because it felt like to me, they kept. So, okay, for our viewers, they re signed Deontay Johnson,
They
who was
reclaimed him off of
waived by,
yeah.
yeah, who was waived by the Texans.
The thing is, he can't play, and he will not technically be a Raven again until after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But what the Ravens
And
essentially
then they're
did,
not going to resign.
yeah, what the Ravens are doing is by being the ones that hold him after the Super Bowl, when they calculate comp picks, which if you don't know what a comp pick is, it's a pick you get for losing a player, and it's determined by how much they make on your team. So, like the highest pick you can get is a 3rd round pick, and those are for players that are making the most. So
Yeah.
Deontay Johnson isn't going to make a lot, so he's going to be worth a 6th round pick. But that's they give up a 5th or a 6th to get him,
6th.
so they're pretty much just getting their pick back.
Yeah. So, because it felt like they wouldn't release him before they played the Steelers because they didn't want the Steelers to turn around and pick him back up.
Yeah.
So then the Texans picked him up right before
They play.
the Christmas Day game. It
seem to
didn't help. So I felt like the Ravens went, just no. We're not doing. You're not going to go to the Bills now.
Or the Chiefs.
You're not going to go to the Chiefs.
Mainly,
like, just sit out.
Because I'm pretty sure one of those teams might actually be willing to take a shot at him in free agency next. Like, come
Yeah.
free agency. A team that's, like, kind of needs a wide receiver, kind of doesn't. And you're
Yeah.
willing to, like, take the risk, the low risk, high reward that he is back to what he used to be.
And I get, like, you're seeing, like, what the hell is everybody else's problem? He's been to, like, 8 teams and fucking
He's been to, like, 4.
the calendar year. So, like, what's the problem here? Is it you or is it them?
Well, when you've gone from the Steelers to the Panthers was the first trade. You can sit there and go, I mean, kind of shitty, really shitty. Then you went to the Ravens and you were like,
they're not a really wide receiver dependent team.
So maybe.
And then you go to the Texans and they don't use you and they need nothing but wide receivers and O linemen. So you have to be the problem.
Yeah. We'll see.
So
I bet a team's willing to take a shot at it, but. And I would bet it's a team like the Bills or Chiefs, to be honest with you. So, yeah.
So the pick thing is interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, that
but
is.
I think it was we're done. We're done. Every time we take the field, you're across the sideline. Like, we're done.
There's that. And then, seriously.
The pick. You get your pick back. Yeah, I mean, fuck it.
I thought it was funny.
So yeah, that was Ravens Steelers. Overall on the game, it was a good game for the Ravens. Glad they got the win. Glad they came out of it pretty unscathed. There were no like injuries or anything like that. From the Ravens' perspective, Tucker continued to be perfect. So awesome there. It was Lamar's best playoff game of his career.
Yeah.
So I do think it helps change the narrative. I am going to bring that back up when I talk some other teams we're going to get into. But for now, I do know Brendan had a little Seahawks news he wanted to talk about.
And just really quickly, because I was looking at it, just check something. The Ravens have posted their participation for practice today. Only 2 players were listed, and it was Zay Flowers and Hardy. And Flowers did not practice today. As you said, might not matter, but
I
figured
don't think he will. Even if he's okay, I don't think he will.
it was still just something that popped up and figured I'd.
Yep, we appreciate the share.
Onto the very very minimal to talk about the Seahawks. They have interviewed or have requested an interview for OC candidates. So we'll just quickly talk about those four. There's going to be more. They might just have to wait until they're eliminated. We'll see. But the four so far is Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach of the Detroit Lions, Thomas Brown, the former pass game coordinator, then offensive coordinator, then head coach of the Chicago Bears, and then Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints. And then the one that happened the other day, I can't find his name now. Fuck. Grant Udinsky, the assistant OC and assistant quarterbacks coach of the Minnesota Vikings. And judging by the fact that you don't know it, it's because he is a 28-year-old that is not talked about like at all because he works
No,
for
that's
Kevin.
fair.
But I don't think they'll do. I think this interview.
List.
No, this specific one, the Grant Udinsky interview, is related elsewhere.
Okay.
Is my guess.
Gotcha.
I think who they actually want to interview from the Vikings, they just haven't yet. And I think interviewing him is for like when the other guy comes over as part of the staff.
Gotcha.
And I'm talking about Josh McCown, the quarterbacks coach of the Minnesota Vikings. So I assume that is kind of what's happening here. Is they'll interview McCown, but they interviewed this guy as like a maybe you'll fit on the staff with McCown kind of thing. I don't know. That's just my guess. We'll see.
Cool.
But yeah, so those are the four so far. Obviously, like I said, there's probably going to be more. If there's not, I don't really know what the Seahawks are doing. Only interviewing 4 people is kind of not smart.
Well, and that list,
I'm not 2 of them I'm happy with.
Which 2?
Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach of the Detroit Lions. I mean, like,
okay, that's fair.
Offensive line coach, and Detroit sounds
of the
pretty
best O-line. Yeah.
And
but that's not the only one.
I don't hate the idea of Clint Kubiak.
I'm just concerned. I mean, I guess we'll see. Maybe.
Like,
I'm just not sure you're going to get the run game you want there.
Actually, I think I will. Based on who Kubiak is.
Okay.
Going off of... I don't know what his dad's name is now.
Okay.
But he was a coach of the Broncos. Fuck. Mike, maybe? No?
Mike Kubiak? I have no idea what we're talking about.
He was the coach of the Broncos. Not the year they won. Was it the year they won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning?
No, because that was fucking...
That was not
Vance Joseph. What the fuck was his name? No. God, no. He was post-Manning. The dude that everyone was scared was going to have a heart attack on the sideline. Wasn't it? What was his name?
It was a Kubiak. Gary Kubiak. There we go.
Was it? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I remember now. We're good. Yeah, he was the head coach. I was like,
I cannot think of a new Kubiak.
There we go. It was Gary Kubiak.
Yeah, okay.
He's the son of Gary Kubiak.
So...
And based on everything I've seen, he does a much better play action style than what we currently have. Which is why I don't necessarily hate the idea.
You don't hate it?
Not my top choice. But if they went that direction...
Wouldn't hate it.
Yeah.
Definitely don't want Thomas Brown.
I'm going to be honest, even that, I'm very lower on. Let me be clear. But even that, I'm not out on. Because here's my thing: is you're saying that because of what happened this year.
I'm not. I'm not. So
Oh, that's right. He was with the Panthers that 1 year.
yeah,
Okay. Yes. The reason I'm
I have
saying
multiple data.
the reason I'm saying I'm alright with it is actually that offense did improve when he was upgraded to OC. In the 3 games he was OC, that offense
Improved. I'm just still.
that offense was actually really like 20 points a game. They were moving the ball well, they were running the ball well. And then he got promoted to head
He got
coach.
fucked around.
Yeah.
Honestly, my other concern with him, it's been a lot of change
Yes. And I'm not saying
that I can't help but like how locked in are you gonna be? Not for any fault of his own.
I don't think
I
that's where they'll
just
go, and I don't want them to. Let me be clear. I still don't think I want Thomas Brown. I'm just saying, as a candidate, that's fine. Like
yeah.
so far,
I just
the
that's why I
high
am. I'm like I would be out on him.
of the 3 they've interviewed. I'm the highest on Hank Fraley. The only thing with Hank
That's fair.
Fraley is he's never called plays before, so there's some stuff there. Whereas Clint Kubiak has called
Has
plays, so there are some things. Kubiak also does have that pedigree and has the
yeah.
bloodline, I guess, is the way to put it. With his
It comes
dad.
up. It's relevant. Yeah.
So there is things there. We'll kind of see. But those are the only 4 that have been announced so far. They're
Cool.
not going to be the only 4. I'm going to say that again
No.
because for some
Well, it's God we
reason
hope not.
Seahawks fans think that if that's the only 4, then they seriously sat there and went, one of the ones we hired were absolutely positively the one we wanted,
Yeah.
and then we just decided right then and there to hire him. I don't think that's the case. That tends not to be, even during the head coaching search. They
Yeah.
were pretty high on McDonald throughout the search. They still interviewed 12 names. Head coach is a little different, but they were pretty sold on McDonald.
Yeah.
But since they had to wait, they were just interviewing other people. That's kind of what I think's happening. Is I think they're
Well, and
interviewing some people.
coordinators, you don't have to be in such a rush for coordinators. Like, obviously, you want to get him in there,
Yes,
but if you take a little longer on that one, that's okay.
I do think I personally really want the offensive coordinator in place soon, ish. Because I think that was part of the problem last year. Is with the late process of hiring your head coach, then having to hire your coordinators. It kind of put everything behind. So I do want
So,
at least
yes, but this year you don't have the head coaching hiring. So it's not
yes,
like I'm saying wait months. It just doesn't
no,
have to be done like this week.
no. That
Whereas
I
like a
think
head coach, you would want like maybe the week after the Super Bowl, you know who that's going to be. OC, you have a little more time on.
I would say before March, as long as you have
Yeah,
a coordinator before the month of March, I think you're fine. Because really, I think the biggest thing is if they for example, if they hire Fraley, the offensive line coach, he's going to have a lot to do with rebuilding the offensive line.
Mhm.
Like that's a thing he's going to have to do. So getting him in the building quickly would be advantageous.
Yeah,
Seeing what he has in the building already, with the offensive lineman there, and then figuring out if we can bring somebody from Detroit as an offensive lineman in free agency, how they're going to attack it in the draft, stuff like that. So that's why I would
yeah.
want one sooner rather than later. But at the same time, I would say still wait until post Super Bowl. make sure you know who you're hiring.
Yeah.
And go into it informed rather than making a this is who we have to hire because we waited so long type thing.
Yeah.
So that's
Agreed.
my thing. If you know who you want, like, again, let's just say they were blown away by how Fraley interviewed, then yeah, hire him tomorrow. Fuck it. But otherwise, go through the process, get some more interviews in, and if you still think he's the guy, make the hire.
Agreed.
All right.
Awesome. Well, back to AFC playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm going to go through, I kind of have like one take on each of these games and each
Okay.
side of these games, like each team. I don't feel the need to seriously break it down. I guess if y'all want me to, leave it in the comments. It's hard to know what y'all want though when you don't talk to us.
I mean,
Just
somebody
saying.
talked to me. We had a comment, and I answered the comment.
It's really unfortunate I did not see that. I'm on top of it, you guys. I'm on top of it. My schedule changes. Get off my back. All right, so starting with Chargers at Houston, 32-12. The epic collapse that was this game. Because that's what it was. It started very boring. I was like, this is a waste of everybody's time. And then the Chargers offense went shit, and the Texans defense blew up, is really what happened. The 4 turnovers was a problem. Here's my thing. You have a Harbaugh head coach, Greg Roman coordinator, a quarterback that everybody knows is really talented.
Yep.
J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Not an elite group of ball catchers. And a good to great defense.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I know it doesn't. And you have this really great regular season. And you spend the season building an identity of we run first, pass second. And then we get to the playoffs. And Greg Roman decides, you know what? I don't think we can win like this. So let's on 1st and 10 for no goddamn reason, air the ball 40 yards. Oh shit, it's a pick. And then the quarterback is left holding the bag at the end of the game, being asked why he's now had the worst game of the season and the worst game of his career. I'm not saying that Justin Herbert does not potentially have a playoff problem. He is 0-2 in the playoffs. There's an argument to be made that his game against the Raiders in, I don't remember the year, 22, 21. He needed to win to make the playoffs, and he didn't. I'm not saying there's not a problem. I'm not saying at some point we don't have to look at Herbert and go, talented, but can you do it in the biggest moments? It's a fair question. However, I have been yelling from the rooftop for years that not all of Lamar's playoff struggles are on him. And unfortunately, Justin Herbert is now left holding that bag. Because that's what that game was. They ran the ball. They got the field goals. They went up 12-0. Roman abandoned the run, and Herbert was now throwing it not for Herbert, but for the identity they built this season, a high number of times, which increases the chances of turnovers, which then forces the O-line, everybody to play a game different than the identity they've spent all year building, and guess what? It went to shit.
Quickly.
But the only person catching shit
is Herbert.
Because, well, now you have a Harbaugh, now you have a good defense, all these things, you should win this game. You're right. But nobody, not Lamar, not Herbert, not even the great god that is Patrick Mahomes, can take the identity you've built, toss it out the window, and go, now go win a game. This was Lamar's problem in the playoffs. He got significantly better in the playoffs the moment he did not have Roman.
Yeah.
Lamar admitted to the media on the podium last week, I get antsy before playoff games. I want to do too much. Roman is not the guy that can settle you down and get you into a groove. Monken made mistakes last year, but learned with his quarterback. Roman had 3 years, 3 playoff runs. Never once went, you know what? Maybe we should run the fucking ball because that's who we are.
Well, some
so now he has
coordinators just
Herbert.
don't get it, man. Some coordinators just don't get it.
So now he has Herbert, who has a cannon of an arm. And I think the thought process was, well, he can throw the ball all over the field and it's not a problem. It's not just about Herbert. It's about Ladd McConkey. It's about his O-line. It's about all of these guys that have this identity that you're now changing. I felt really bad for him. I felt really bad for Herbert. The moment they got away from the run, I was like, oh, fuck, here we go. And then guess what?
Oh, fuck.
Everybody in every podcast and every media, that was the worst game of the season for him. And I was like...
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. Why does Lamar always have his worst game of the season in the playoffs? It's the Ravens team. I understand that Lamar and Herbert are nothing alike. I get it. I really do.
I was about to say, I don't think you could pick 2 quarterbacks that are more different.
But the similarities of this situation are overwhelming.
Yes.
Help the man out. I felt really bad. As for the Texans, they went into this game going, we're prepared to go on vacation. And about halfway through the game went, if y'all aren't going to win it, fuck it. We'll do it ourselves.
If we can postpone our vacation a week.
If you're not going to win, we'll win. Was how that felt.
Yeah.
It was like, do you want it? Take it. Fine, I'll take it. And that's what happened. Texans defense played very well.
It's unfortunate, guys. You're
about to get smacked. I'm really sorry.
We'll see.
But you're about to get smacked.
But something tells me that the Chiefs sucked all year and then are going to somehow magically just, like it never happened, just become the best team in the world.
The Christmas Day game against the Steelers.
Yeah.
Kelsey needed some record, some random shit, and they were like, boom, got it. We rock. Let's go. That's what they do. Fuck them. So, congratulations, I guess, for the win. Because literally everybody thought you were going to fuck up and lose this game.
Yeah.
And you avoided that.
Just try not to get embarrassed next week.
Yeah. Just don't do what the Steelers did. Come on, guys. Let's act like we care. Let's have a little pride. Felt really bad for Herbert. Knew that was coming, though. Final AFC game. Denver at Buffalo. This was a bummer. quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a Ravens fan first. I've talked about I am also a Broncos fan.
Yeah,
It was
this
their
was
first playoff game
this was
since Peyton Manning.
and
I was very excited. They went out there, they strike first. I texted people. I was like, and the Broncos strike first. I was very excited. Went to shit after that.
yeah.
So Buffalo won 31-7.
Yeah.
Two takes on the team, or one take on each team. Denver, to their credit, they have a lot of dead cap. They have probably one of the worst rosters they'll have with Sean Payton and Bo Nix.
Yes.
I think they're a good team, and I think they have a lot of potential.
Yes.
They were a year early, quite frankly. By
Yes.
all accounts, the Bengals probably should have been in the playoffs. Now, play better.
Yeah.
Be better. If you want to
Win
be in the
more
playoffs,
games.
don't blame the Chiefs.
Win more games.
Play better. We also found out this week that Bo Nix had a broken back at one point in this season. In the Browns game, he broke a bone in his back. Yeah. In his post game meeting, like presser, he admitted that he broke a bone in his back against the Browns, but refused to sit out against the Raiders because it was his first Monday Night Football game.
Fair
and
enough,
it was
buddy.
the only game, by the way, he never ran the ball. If you go back and look at it, it's the only game he never ran the ball.
Yeah, that.
I have a lot of hope for this team. I'm very excited for where it's going to go. I think Bo Nix is a lot more than I think what some people expected. He's way more athletic. He's way more mobile.
I do have a hot take.
He fires back at Sean Payton.
I do have a hot take for the Broncos, but we'll get to that.
Okay, you're going to wait.
Yeah.
So your hot take segment. That's cool. So I have a hot take about a team you're actually not going to talk about. It's going to get crazy up in here. It's going to get crazy. So that's my take on Denver. Is good team, just maybe a year or two away.
Okay.
Buffalo. Pretty tired of hearing how terrible this roster is. Pretty tired of it. Don't think that's accurate. That's what I learned.
I don't know
they have
why.
One of the...
I don't know why people have been saying that. The roster, don't get me wrong, it's not the Eagles. Okay. It's not like
but
stacked.
I don't know if anybody else watched the Eagles game this weekend, but I did. They didn't even look like the fucking Eagles. But he has one of the best O-lines in the AFC. He has one of the best D-lines.
Bad roster.
James Cook is having I understand that Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry are different. No. But a 1,000-yard running back is pretty damn good.
You know what? I've decided. Here's a good way to put it. He has probably the most average roster you could have. In terms of who's around, the most you are average NFL players at every position, which is better than most rosters in the league.
That's fair. And you have an elite quarterback.
Yeah, you have an elite quarterback, and then maybe sprinkle in an elite offensive lineman, an elite defensive player, but then everybody else is league average or slightly better.
Here's my thing, though. Okay? When you think about NFL rosters, not the Eagles, not the Niners. Okay, think about the Lions. How many names immediately come to mind? It's 4. Yeah. You think of 4 guys. Take the Chiefs. How many names come to mind?
4.
It's 3 or 4.
I would say 4. Came immediately to mind.
You know what I mean? The Steelers just got their ass handed to them. You think about the Steelers,
3?
there's still 3 guys that come to mind. When I think the Bills,
I think of 3.
3, 4. So, it's average. Most teams are not just loaded with these names we talk about all the time. Just because there's not a Jamar Chase on this team does not mean they don't have good wide receivers. Just because they don't have Justin Jefferson
But I think
Like, nobody does.
But I think
Vikings do.
that's the difference. Is like, okay, you look at, let's just say the Ravens. You
Okay.
sit there, okay, you go down the list of Bills players, and I'm not advocating that this is right. I'm just saying, like, from what we're
Go,
talking
go
about,
ahead. Make your point.
they're average. All the Bills' offensive weapons, other than Josh Allen, are relatively
Yeah.
average. But then you
That's
say,
fair.
think of Ravens players that come to mind. In my opinion, the first three I think of: Lamar Jackson, obviously, Derrick Henry, elite running back, not elite on the other side, and then Mark Andrews, elite tight end.
Yeah.
Whereas the Bills, when you say that, I don't think of an elite player on that offense other than Josh Allen.
And no, and
And
I
that's, I
agree
think,
with
the
you
difference.
that,
But also,
and that's what I'm saying though, is like you don't have this name power, this star power right now, but they're kind of young,
but they're all
but they're
like
good.
solid. They're all just
Like
solid.
they're solid. But we want to sit there and act like they shouldn't even play in the NFL. Is how we talk about this team.
No, I don't think that. See, that's
Is
my
that
point.
like
I don't agree with that.
Josh Allen's out there doing it with high school kids?
Like, don't get me wrong.
And I watched that game. This is not what it looked like.
No, like, again,
And
it's a
so
very solid roster.
I just think I'm not making excuses. If the Ravens lose next week, I'm just gonna cry. That's what I'm gonna do. Y'all are just gonna have a 2-hour video of me bawling. And then I'm pretty confident I'm gonna have to put out some kind of apology video or whatever. That won't be happening. Um,
Yeah.
but I I feel like we not we I've said shit about this roster. I've said shit about Josh Allen. It's fair though. I feel like the world just wants to shit on this team, and I just
Mm,
don't think it's accurate.
No. Again, I think they have a very average
Average roster.
roster. Like, you have
I don't know. Here's the thing though. Okay, we talk about it. I understand. Like you want to talk about the Ravens and their stuff. Understand the majority of that, with the exception of Derrick Henry, they drafted Henry. They got on a discount. They got a senior discount for.
yeah.
So, but when you start paying an elite quarterback elite money, average
It's gonna have to get it done unless you drafted
tends to be
them.
what you get. Like, you have to draft and develop well because you don't have a ton of cap space. So what this tells me is this team knows how to do that.
Yeah.
Good for them. Let's just be happy that like
Like,
if you had the Bills missing the playoffs this year because you thought the roster wasn't that good and you thought Aaron Rodgers was going to save the Jets, your stupidity is your problem. Own that.
well,
Don't
I
put it on
mean,
the Jets roster or the Bills roster.
how. See, I still love people that thought Aaron Rodgers was gonna save the Jets. Man, that was.
And that's like they're like, well, we didn't. Some people didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. Who were they going to fight the playoffs for? A 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers with the most dysfunctional organization in sports ever, coming off a torn Achilles, or the Dolphins, whose quarterback can't stay healthy and can't play in the cold. That's who they were going to fight it for. Oh, and a rookie quarterback with the worst roster in the NFL.
And
But you're
back
right.
to Tua,
Had no chance to make the playoffs.
he was healthy all last season. And guess what? They
Yeah.
choked it at the end. So I wouldn't have been afraid of them either.
So I'm
Again,
like, who? If you thought that,
the only team
that's your fault. Don't put it on this roster.
that could have beat the Bills for the playoffs would
Yep.
have been the Jets. But once again, 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers coming off a torn Achilles. Not happening. And so
And it
there was a small percent chance that Aaron Rodgers came back and was kind of the Aaron Rodgers of old. I'm talking like 2% here. But that 2% was probably better than the Dolphins' chance of fucking winning. Like,
yeah.
better than the Dolphins and the
So
Patriots.
Patriots is definitely better than Patriots' chance.
Man,
So that's what I got from this game was this roster is not nearly as bad as the world wants to make it out to be.
No.
I do. I'm still not worried.
Okay. I just want to say
You were right. I should not have been worried about the Steelers game. I valued the division rivalry. I also valued what the Steelers team should look like. To be fair, I thought they would try.
I have
So that was my
another.
mistake.
This isn't a hot take. I have a take. I think it's important how you end a season. Okay. For example, the
Yes.
Steelers. They had been playing better. They had been playing really well, and then lost 4 in a row.
Yeah,
Knowing that going into the playoffs, I would not have been worried about them
that's fair.
because they've lost
That's fair.
4 in a row. If the
I
Bengals made the playoffs, I would be more worried about them because they won 6 games in a row, or however many games in a row it was,
I
to
yeah.
make the playoffs. To me, that's
I
more. So that's my reason.
so for me, I put faith in things I've seen
Yes.
of what this team could be. Like I know what Mike Tomlin's defense is supposed to look like. I know what the Ravens rivalry is
Yes.
supposed to look like. So I took that information, plus the fact that Lamar has historically not done awesome in the playoffs. I have reasons for that. We just talked about it. If you're confused, please rewind the video and go back and listen to the Chargers game. But all of those things have been true. So I thought this was the harder
He's also historically struggled
matchup.
against the Steelers,
The Steelers.
specifically.
So I took all of that and went, this is my bigger concern. Again, my opinion predicated on the Steelers trying.
But and then if you're confused on why we had this argument last week where I was
It was
saying
an argument. I felt like it was a healthy debate.
argument debate. Sure, we had this debate last week that I would be more afraid of the Bills if I had to play them. She was more afraid of the Steelers.
Afraid of the Steelers. And
My reasoning was because the Bills have a better quarterback. And I guess now I failed to mention at the time, because I guess I was taking this into account, but never actually said it, that the Bills were going into the playoffs with more momentum, with more oomph behind them than the Steelers were. That was my
so,
other thing.
fair point. I kind of thought the Steelers could be a feral rabid cat.
Okay.
Was like what
Sure.
I was concerned about. It was my concern.
Okay.
Was the Steelers would come out super hungry. They hate each other.
Yes.
Like wanting blood.
No, I'm not
wanting kind of vengeance. And then taking the struggles he's had all and going this moment, and it's more important than ever, and the pressure and all of it, and they were going to come out like some feral rabid cat just to fuck the Ravens up. Like it would be less about winning, honestly. It was just to fuck them up. And then they could possibly, like, if it's a close game and it comes down to field goals or who can make a bigger splash play, I had concerns the Steelers took that edge. Then the game started and I went, oh, never mind.
Yeah. Again, this argument is mute because seriously, like the Steelers lay down and die.
Not.
And I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I wouldn't be afraid of the Bills. I would still be afraid of the Bills. I still think the Bills are a playoff quality team. But you did also just play the rookie Bo Nix in the playoffs. And he scored a touchdown on you in the first drive. Now, don't get me wrong. They then proceeded to shit the bed the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But I also was watching that game and went, I don't know how much the Bills actually did to win this game, to be honest with you.
Here's my thing. They went 0 for 4 in the red zone.
They did.
All of his touchdowns. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was my point last week too. I have watched the Ravens get better over the weeks.
They still struggle in the deep ball.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. That miscommunication was a wild bummer, and then the two players ran into each other. It was a whole thing. They're gonna have to fix that. I'm not sure what I've seen the Bills improve at.
Yeah.
So I'm
Again,
not. It's going to be in Buffalo. It's going to be very cold. Lamar can play in the cold. He is not Tua, but he does not like the cold. I think this is going to be a good game. Here's the thing, and here's what I've had to resign myself to. Okay. For Lamar's narrative to change,
he has to win.
And the only way he comes out of this season, this year, with a playoff record above 500, or even at 500, he has to get to the Super Bowl. That's the only way.
And he has to go through Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes to do it.
Now, there are people that if he loses this week to Buffalo, will go, well, what did you want him to do? If he loses to Patrick Mahomes, well, what did you want him to do? The overarching narrative, though, will stand firm.
Yes.
It is time, and I do believe this as a Lamar fan. At some point,
you have to.
I can no longer keep waiting for you to take the next step. You're there.
Yes.
You're passing the ball better than you have ever. You have better weapons than you have ever. You are there. This is your moment.
Yeah. You have to.
At minimum, he has to play well against the Bills. Now, if the defense completely shits the bed and it's 35 to 32, I probably won't, you know what I mean? I'll be like, well,
okay.
What the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, if it's like a Cincinnati game and they don't get that turnover, like, I won't kill him as much. Like, I won't sit there and be like, we fucking did it again. But
he does have to play.
This step has to be taken. And important note, he has never won more than one playoff game in a season.
Yes.
He's got to take a step. We have to. I have defended him. I'm a very big fan. I think he's a great quarterback. Yeah, if you want a championship, if this team he has to take that step and he has to take it now. We can't wait another year.
Yeah. We'll see.
If he loses to the Chiefs and Arrowhead, that I'll probably let go. I'll be like, what the fuck? I don't know. There's a deal with the devil on the table. You can't compete with that.
Yeah. Unless
he's got to win this game.
Yeah. Seriously, the only way for if seriously the Chiefs have a deal with the devil, the only way anybody beats them is if they somehow have God's blessing. And to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah.
The only team that might get that is the Lions. And to be honest, I don't think the Lions are going to get that lucky because we've seen what has happened to that team. There's no way in fuck they have God's blessing right now.
So, I just do. For me, anything that happens after this, I can live with.
Well, it'll probably be the best game next week.
Oh, far and away.
But
far and away.
We'll see how it goes. Again, it's going to be. It's either. There's two ways this goes. Either both quarterbacks suck, and it's all defense, or both quarterbacks light it up, and it becomes a shootout. And whatever quarterback makes the first mistake loses.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be a good game. I'm optimistic. Well, that does it for the AFC. Brendan, would you like to talk NFC?
Yeah, NFC. Not great matchups. There was one good
No,
one in there, but otherwise
there
not.
was one shocking one. It did not go the way I thought it was going to go.
Well, no. Starting off, Philly, Green Bay. Green Bay was away. It was in Philadelphia. Philly gets the win, 22-10. Just a Green Bay is a young team. They might get there. Jordan Love did struggle in this game. Kind of been the story of Green Bay's year. When
Yeah,
Jordan Love's going, that team's going. When he's not, they're not.
they
Simple as that. Philly, best
we
best roster.
we talked about this though. They weren't able to take that next step.
Yeah.
And I think he just battled injuries. They just were never like they had some good games in the middle, but I felt like this team never seriously got clicking. At no point did I look up and go, they are playing their best football right now.
No, that was the thing.
And they had 5 offensive players out for this game. It was crazy.
Yeah, like again, Philly, best roster in the league. Saquon did his thing. That team did its thing.
So good, we're reading books on the sideline.
Yeah, one target.
Fucking crazy. Here's the thing.
Reading a book.
I
on
give
the
a little
sideline.
like he's coming off concussion, like he hasn't practiced in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe we give a little break. Like let's see how
Okay.
next week goes.
Here's my thing.
But that was crazy. That was crazy.
Here's my thing. All right, with the whole AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts thing, there's clearly something there. All right.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Tanner McKee, in his first ever game, threw, I think, 5 passes. And I want to say 3 of them were to A.J. Brown.
So
And that was when he came
here's
in
my thing.
relief.
Here's my thing. I am not sure it's a Hurts Brown thing. I think it's a Hurts thing.
No, that's my point. I'm not saying it's a Hurts Brown. I think it's a Hurts thing.
Yeah. No, when your backup quarterbacks
When I
can
said
operate your offense better with all of your talent, there's a problem.
what I said when I said Hurts Brown, I really meant Hurts has something against Brown, I think is kind of what's happening.
I think Hurts has something against throwing the goddamn ball.
Yeah. Doesn't he target Smith a bunch, though?
He had 35 yards of through the air with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. 35!
I didn't watch
39.
the game. I didn't watch the game. I didn't care. This game was a blowout. Watch the condensed replay.
Oh, okay.
But I didn't notice.
That. But, yeah, 39 yards with 5 minutes left in the third.
Watching the condensed replay, though, I didn't notice how little he was throwing it. Yes.
Threw it very, very little.
Because, I didn't care about this game. And I'm going to be honest, it was kind of funny.
Because
no
one was open.
This is going to oust myself. I thought this game was the Sunday night game. So I wasn't paying attention. I was doing stuff. So I just had the game on my laptop. And I had the Washington Tampa Bay because I thought they were the game. It was the week 1 game, Washington Tampa Bay. And the only reason I noticed was because one, they showed Chris Godwin and I went, but you snapped your leg. And then I saw the ref, and he was the one that reffed the that game morning. Oh, the Buffalo Denver game, and I was like,
oh yeah,
there's something not right here. And then in the top right corner, I see week 1, and I'm like, Okay, yeah, I see what went wrong. That's And then proceeded to turn on the game for the end of it. Didn't again. So I watched the end of the game, and then watched the condensed replay again. Didn't notice the lack of throwing from Hurts. That doesn't surprise me because I watched the replay, but again, it's not something I care about. So I'm seeing Saquon go. I'm seeing the highlights. I'm seeing stuff happen, but I guess I didn't notice how little he was throwing it. I guess
very little. Very little.
That's a problem. Again, though, coming off concussion, maybe that was part of it, but he does struggle.
I think that's part of it. I think there's also just...
But seriously, one target
I do not think Kellen Moore trusts him to throw the ball. That is what I think. And he doesn't trust himself. His wide receivers aren't open. AJ Brown is open. Throw him the goddamn ball. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, he'll do something. He'll make it happen.
And I
It's a
can
choice.
assure you, if you see him reading a book on the sideline, you should immediately throw him the ball.
Yeah, that's seriously the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. He
It's
had
crazy.
someone said it. They were like, more books read on the sideline than targets.
Yeah.
And technically, they're not wrong. It was 1-1.
Yeah.
But it's still
But
fucking
it was
hilarious.
crazy.
So yeah.
And I'm sure that's not the first time, but it was weird.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, Philly, Green Bay, pretty shit game. Not gonna like it. Philly kind of just dominated. Green Bay was never really.
Green Bay's got to take that next step.
Yeah, Green Bay never threatened to do anything, which no one's kind of
I
surprised.
feel like I don't have, I guess, if a fact checker. I feel like no team wins a game when they fumble their first play. Because they fumbled that kickoff. You think about the
happens, but yeah,
like
the vast majority of the time.
You think about Peyton Manning's first Super Bowl with the Broncos, the high snap that leads to the safety. Just went to shit after that. Like it never goes well.
There's teams that probably do it. There's teams that get away with it.
But I'm sure there are. I feel like
probably
historically
90% of the time they lose.
I feel like it just
95.
doesn't go well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. It.
I can think of epic collapse games that's how they start.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of epic comeback games of that's how they start.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, no, that is a fair statement. So yeah, again, Green Bay never really threatened Philly. Just kind of coasted through it. Their next game will be much more difficult. Actually, no, it won't be. Yes, it will be. Yes, it will
be. They play the Rams.
No, they don't. They play the Commanders. No, they do play the Rams. They do play the Rams.
I was like, they play the Rams. The Commanders should play the Lions.
Yeah, because the Rams are technically higher than the Commanders because they won their division. That's why. Yep.
I was like,
because Minnesota was technically,
yeah.
I figured it out why.
Okay, cool.
The best game of the whole wild card week was Washington Commanders versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game was in Tampa Bay. Washington gets the win 23-20. This game was fun. This game was
crazy.
Everything I wanted this game to be. Just two good quarterbacks going at it, two fun quarterbacks going at it. Kind of with just no care in the world, in a way. They just went out there. Washington was just happy to be there. Tampa Bay was kind of just happy to be there, obviously. They won a Super Bowl recently, so they had a little more going. But, again, Baker Mayfield's always just happy to be there.
Yeah. They won a playoff game last year. They weren't quite as in the pickle Washington was.
But yeah, so great game. Again, Washington gets the win off a last-second doink field goal.
Yeah, that was
which
crazy.
Is just.
Did you see that guy and all of his routine with his hair in the helmet? I was like, bro, what are you doing? You're giving me anxiety.
So I knew this about him. Zane Gonzalez, and he is known for having terrible OCD.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And that's the problem.
I was getting anxiety watching him.
I think he's talked about it in an interview about how his in order for him to make a kick, his hair has to be perfectly in his helmet, and he will not put his helmet on unless his hair is. And what's better is I think he has caused his team a delay of game penalty because he couldn't do it because he couldn't get his helmet on because his hair wasn't right.
That's super shitty.
So yeah, not the time to have the hair issue.
Yeah. It's not like he had a lot of hair.
That's the thing. I don't understand.
You know what I mean?
It's not like you have dreads.
Yeah, or even long hair to deal with that. But
But yeah, so it was kind of fitting that he then doinked it in, with
Yeah,
his um.
whole
But that
situation happening.
obviously Jaden Daniels, for only the third rookie to
Fourth,
win. Is he the fourth?
fourth.
Yes, fourth. He's the fourth rookie to win a road playoff game in his first season, and I believe his first playoff game. I think that was the
Well, your rookie year.
yeah,
It would,
yeah, sure.
yeah.
Yeah, fourth rookie to win a road playoff game. Pretty solid. Russell Wilson's done it. I believe Tom Brady did it,
Joe Flacco did it.
and Joe Flacco. Wait, it was Wilson, Flacco, and Mark Sanchez. That was the third.
Sanchez. I was like, Brady doesn't sound right.
And I forgot, and that's why I forgot Mark Sanchez because the other two both won the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's anything there, maybe at some point Jaden Daniels will win a Super Bowl.
Neither one of them won it that year, but yes, they did indeed. So Russell did not win the Super Bowl his year, and Flacco did not win the Super Bowl his rookie year.
Nope, it would have been Wilson's second year that he won.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
And it was Flacco's fourth.
Yes. But yeah, so maybe Jaden Daniels joining that company. Maybe he wins the Super Bowl.
It's hard to use the word elite when you mention those
Yeah. I don't want to say elite, even
you
though
started to, and then you went no.
I was like,
No.
two of them have won a Super Bowl, but they've only won one. And then, Mark Sanchez is there. Or Jaden Daniels follows in his footsteps, walks into his offensive lineman, and fumbles the ball.
So paths we could take.
Win a Super Bowl or butt fumble. We'll see.
It's crazy how different those three careers
Have gone.
Okay, you think about Russell, immediate success, right?
Yeah.
Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, Super Bowl win, and then kind of my career went to shit.
Joe Flacco started.
Mediocre, historic
wins.
playoff run, mediocre.
And then just refuses to retire.
Yeah,
and then Mark Sanchez is mediocre.
Just
bad, mediocre.
It was never awesome.
Yeah. It's unfortunate,
So hopefully, James, let's do better. He looks way better.
He
than
looks.
Those three
I'm gonna say this. He looks like Russell Wilson when he first started. Probably a little better.
He looks more like Lamar, honestly.
I would say Russell just better.
Okay.
That's where I see him.
That's
mainly.
Fair. He throws the ball. So I feel like he throws the ball more like Russell, but he runs more like Lamar.
Sure. That's a good way to put it. Sure. Yeah. So yeah, Jaden Daniels looks like a better version of Russell Wilson, so maybe his career's slightly better.
Yeah.
Obviously playing really well.
Currently, I'm really happy for him and for Washington.
Oh, yeah. Also, really quickly, Dan Campbell, great head coach. Or not Dan Quinn, great head coach.
What are we talking about?
I mean, Dan Campbell's also a great head coach. It fits. But Dan Quinn, the coach of the Commanders, great head coach, has done a great job. Really happy to see him get the win.
I think also the fuck.
Zero help.
His OC, what's his name?
Cliff Kingsbury.
Kingsbury is changing the narrative about him.
Yes.
Because everyone was like, how well can you really do? Your offense tends to stall. And this kid is just rolling.
I think that's more with Jaden Daniels than Kingsbury, but we can debate that later if we ever get the chance.
I think it helps him.
Yes. I don't think it's been one or the other, but I do think Kingsbury's only this good because of Jaden Daniels, and Jaden Daniels is only this good because of Kingsbury. I think it's a mutually...
We talked about the coach-quarterback combo.
I think it's a mutually beneficial situation going on right now.
Relationship. That's fair.
So yeah,
That is a fair statement.
Washington played well. Tampa Bay played solid. Washington comes away with the win. So go them. They've got a tough challenge next week.
I think that will mark the end of their playoff run this year.
We'll see. We'll talk about it.
But no game of the nasty.
The most what the fuck happened game. This is another game.
I have a mild take.
Only watched the condensed replay of. Was not home during the game. Not really sure what Minnesota did and how that offensive line got so much worse. But what the fuck? Before we go, the Los Angeles Rams were the home team. This game was played in Arizona due to the fires going on in Los Angeles. Obviously, devastating. Currently, it has caused a lot of problems. So the Rams were in Arizona. This game was played there. The Rams were technically the home team, but obviously, since it was played in Arizona, it was kind of played on a neutral field. Again,
honestly, really big shout out to the Cardinals.
Yes.
And everything they did
to get this game
to create a Rams home team. They cleared out their gift shop and filled it with Rams gear. They did they gave their planes to the Rams and to the Vikings. They did so much for this team.
It shows a lot that was bigger than football, because technically the Rams and the Cardinals are rivals. They play in the same division.
Yeah.
They technically hate each other. But the Cardinals were willing to kind of forego that to really
understand this moment was bigger.
Yes.
Really big shout out to them. I loved so much of the LA is LAFD gear, because obviously shout out to them and all of the brave men and women fighting that fire right now. Like Brendan said, devastating. If you can't donate, please go to Red Cross. If you're in California, there are shelters and places you can donate to. Our hearts and minds go out to them. My mild take.
Okay.
Before you get into the game. The Rams occasionally do this.
Yes.
It is not an all the time thing. It is not their natural state. But they have the ability to once or twice a season just play this unbelievably perfect game.
Yeah.
Offensively and defensively, it's like we hit easy mode on a game you've been playing for 20 years. And they just see it and they do it. I do also think, I believe McVay said it. It might have been Stafford. There was just this, we talked about last week with the Lions and the Super Bowl of wanting it more.
That I do believe.
And I think this moment for the Rams was so massively beyond football.
Yeah.
That they wanted it and they needed it more. And there was nothing anybody was going to do to take it from them.
There was that. There was the comment Dan Campbell made after the Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions game in Week 18.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure McVay...
that helped.
I'm pretty sure McVay, printed it out or did something. Put it on a whiteboard or something. He did something along that lines. Literally put that just everywhere.
Teams love poster board material.
Man, that was... But yeah. So the Rams just wanted it so much more than the Vikings. It was clear. They just dominated 27-9. Yeah. They had 9 sacks of Sam Darnold. Again, I don't know what happened with that offensive line. Again, Darnold didn't do himself any favors. I don't know if I've seen someone lose more money in 2 games of football than Sam Darnold did.
That's fair.
Because prior to those 2 games, Sam Darnold was looking at a fat bag in free agency.
He was looking at a Baker Mayfield contract at minimum. Now, maybe you'll get the franchise tag, which is $40 million.
I don't know what they're gonna do.
He has kind of a Caleb prop. Like, he wants to hold on to that ball.
Yeah, that was a problem in that game.
Like, it's crazy.
And I think honestly, it was weird because it didn't seem like it early when the Rams were getting pressures quickly, and then all of a sudden, it was almost like because they were getting pressures quickly, he was like, "Well, I gotta start holding on to it longer for some reason." I don't know
Yeah.
what thought process went,
I don't.
but as the game went on, he just held it longer and longer, which was just a
I think
mistake.
he kept hoping the deep ball would come open, and it didn't. Like, his wide, like, nobody could get open.
It was
And a real
rough.
nobody could get open. Not the Eagles, nobody could get open. There's a difference. It
It
just
was
was a rough
rough. Yeah.
match. I'm telling
Again,
you, the Rams went out there
and
playing
want yeah.
a different
Oh,
kind of football.
absolutely. But
Like,
Rams get a pretty well deserved victory. They did
yeah,
everything right.
absolutely.
They dominated the game. As a Seahawks fan, I fucking hated it. Just gonna be honest. I
That's fair.
I wanted Minnesota to just absolutely
Roll.
yeah to just curb stomp the Rams. That did not happen. So here we are. Now I have a tough choice of do I cheer for the Eagles or the Rams? Don't really like either of them. That's who's playing next in the next game.
Gross.
Obviously, I
The
don't.
Rams. For me
Probably.
personally.
I don't know.
Um,
It's a tough choice. I'm just gonna
and
hope.
honestly, the only reason I would go there is just because of what LA is going through. Like, let's give LA the win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that might
And
be
then you could
the.
get bounced by the Lions in the NFC Championship game.
We joked about this though. Yeah. Again, just gonna hope the Lions just win the NFC and call it a day.
Yeah, that's the hope.
But yeah, so Minnesota or LA gets the win. Minnesota chokes in the last 2 weeks of the season. What a shock. Um, that tends to be
And
what they
then
do.
elite quarterbacks, the longer they play, will show they are not elite.
Okay, elite quarterbacks, the longer they play, will either show that they are elite or that they aren't.
Yeah,
And Sam Darnold fell
like
into the aren't.
the truth will out. I do
Yeah,
think he's a good quarterback. I think he could be a good quarterback. I think he needs maybe a different like a slightly different system, maybe a little bit more of a run game to help, and someone to teach him to throw the fucking ball away. But
I will say.
he
Okay, I will say the single funniest thing that came out of this game was the, albeit small, group of Vikings fans that were calling for Kevin O'Connell's head. Um, I think that's stupid.
that's
No,
that's insane.
he has not had playoff success yet, but he's also had Kirk Cousins.
Year two.
This is year 3, actually. But he's
Did
had,
he have two with Cousins?
yeah, he had 2 with Cousins,
Okay.
and then
Thought it was
so yeah,
only one.
this is year 3, and let's be honest, he's had Kirk
Quarterback
Cousins
play,
and Sam Darnold for the playoffs.
and we've given Mike Tomlin 1,000 years
So,
to be above 500 and make the playoffs. So let's just say thank you that he's only on year 3.
and let's be honest, Kevin O'Connell is a good head coach. The fact that this team even went
Yeah.
12 and
The fact that at the end of the day, Sam Darnold had a great regular season,
yeah,
and this team had a great regular season, and we're fighting for the 1 seed. And the only reason they didn't,
this isn't like a you snuck
like,
into the playoffs as in like a 9-8 and then
yeah,
got
like they
bounced.
had a great season.
Now, don't get me wrong, they did the same thing the year that they got bounced with Cousins against the Giants. Had a great regular season.
But
Again,
back to the quarterback situation.
so again, kind of funny, kind of stupid. Minnesota should be
And
fine.
the answer, or the belief is the answer at quarterback is in their building.
But
Just
this loss does make the whole quarterback shit way more interesting.
yeah,
Like the quarterback carousel next year could be much spicier.
yes, agreed.
So we'll see what happens. But
Um,
That was the playoffs. That was wild card weekend.
And then, did you see the weird ass play that's a forward pass, even though
Yeah, okay, because this is something I technically. So I watched the Canentry play, and this was part of it. And then it's been a big thing. So I watched the Manning's cast reaction to the play.
okay,
And two former quarterbacks in Peyton Manning and Eli Manning both sat
yep,
there and went, "That's a fumble." And they were like, and Peyton even was like, "We were taught for it to be a forward pass, you need to flick the thumb out like that. Like that.
mm-hmm.
So your thumb has to be pointing outward." If you watch his hand doesn't move. Like
Yeah,
it barely like flicks and the ball goes forward. So my argument is he's not trying to pass that forward. Like that's not what's happening. And it's stupid to me how his arm doesn't move, nothing's happening, but the ball goes forward, and Nakua was in the area. I
in
shouldn't say.
the area.
So we're saying he meant to do that.
Here is my problem, and I understand this gets a little vague. I feel like intent had to matter. There is clearly no intent to throw that ball.
No.
Like, I understand that gets dicey because quarterbacks throw it out of bounds all the time, and that is not intentional ground.
Yes.
But in this moment, when you're debating, oh, does he have the arm movement? Intent should matter. So while I get that Nakua is in the area, there is no intent to throw that ball. I agree it was a fumble. It was just crazy.
Yeah, I think it was a fumble. That's going to be something the league has to look at and decide. Because, yeah, there was, in my opinion, very little way that was a forward pass. But,
yeah,
you know, that's what it was called. So,
that's what we live with.
once again,
Alrighty.
a weird call ruins the Vikings game against the Rams. So, I don't know.
We're
And,
actually going to talk about weird calls when we get to the hot take situation.
all right.
Done with wild card weekend though.
Yeah. Kind of a
Why don't you tell us about
college football? College football. Alrighty. We had two games, the semifinals for the college football playoffs. The Orange Bowl between Notre Dame and Penn State. Notre Dame gets the win, 27-24 in this game. Big win for the Notre Dame program. Obviously, the only independent team to make the playoffs. One of the only independent teams still left in college football. They were something in one going into the playoffs, with one loss being against to Northern Illinois, who is not a good football team. But that was their only loss. Obviously, terrible loss. But I think they're kind of throwing it back at the hater or the naysayers and the haters. Beating some good teams in this playoff. Penn State, obviously, good football program. Notre Dame getting the win, going to the national championship for the first time in a while. The last time they were in the national championship, it did not go well, though. So they kind of got blown out by Alabama. So we'll see if they can do better this time. But something else, Marcus Freeman, the coach of Notre Dame, actually becomes the first coach of Asian descent and the first African American coach to go to the national championship. So that's kind of interesting. Something that's never happened before. I do think that's talked about way too much. He
Yeah.
thinks that too. Don't come at me. He said that too, but it is something worth mentioning just really quickly. So yeah, great job for the Notre
Proud
Dame.
of him, but like
Let's
that's
chill.
not the only thing about him.
Yeah, let's chill. Like he's a great football coach. He's done wonders for that program. Um, and then yeah, congrats to that program. They were down at the half, 10-3. Came out of the half, scored. They actually were down 10-0 at one point. Scored 17 straight. Um, then got 14 right against them. Managed to come back, get the win on a last second, or not quite last second, but almost last second field goal. So just great story for Notre Dame. Um, way to go.
Yeah.
They do have a tough challenge in the um, national championship as Ohio State beat Texas 28-14. Um, this game was close at one point, and then Ohio State got a 90-yard strip sack fumble returned for a touchdown. Um, that really just kind of sealed the deal, ended the game right there. Because if Texas gets the touchdown in the red zone, which they were at, the game is tied. Instead, Ohio State goes up by 14. Never looked back. Just a good game from Ohio State. Ohio State continues to look like the best team in college football. So, you know, tough challenge ahead. And, congrats to them. Once again, look like the best team in college football. Ryan Day was kind of coaching for his job in this college football playoffs. If you're the Ohio State coach, you can't lose to Michigan 2 years in a row, especially this Michigan team that was pretty bad. But if he wins the national championship, they'll keep him around. So for him, really coaching for his job. Marcus Freeman's coaching for the possibility of maybe moving to the NFL. He did just sign a new contract, so maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, congrats to those two teams. The national championship is Monday the 20th at 4:30 p.m. Pacific, so 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That game is being played in Georgia, I believe. So neither team really has a advantage of like proximity. So
Yeah.
should just be a really quality game. Um, I'm really excited. Again, as I've said, I am a Notre Dame fan, so this is kind of exciting for me. I haven't seen a good Notre Dame football team in a while.
I'm gonna watch this one.
Oh wow, look at you go!
It's crazy.
I know.
It's crazy. I've watched highlights and replays and what people that are far more educated on college football have told me to watch. So that's been that.
Nice.
But yeah, gonna watch this one. Alrighty.
But yeah,
Awesome.
that's really it for college football. National championship
Well,
coming up. So
kept it chill for a moment. So take off your blanket because it's hot take time. It's getting hot in here. I'm actually pretty hot. Kind of want to take off my long sleeve shirt. I'm being perfectly honest with you. I'm not going to, but that's where I'm at. It is hot take time.
yeah,
How many hot takes do you have?
2.
Okay. I also have 2. So whoever wants to go first.
I'll let you start it off. You
Okay.
can kick us off.
We're going to start with my mild one. We're
All
going
right.
to we're going to get spicy as this goes on.
I'll do the same.
This mildly contradicts an opinion I've had, but I think for this team and its mentality, this makes sense. I was thinking about it on 2 phases. One, I think Jamar Chase should be Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Here's my reasoning. There have been 9 running backs to eclipse 2,000 yards, to hit or eclipse 2,000 yards.
Yep.
There have only been 6 Triple Crown winners.
Yep.
So by all accounts, statistics, and there are more receivers than there are running backs.
It is harder to do.
It is harder to do. So I think he should be that. With that, I think the Bengals should sign Higgins and trade Jamar Chase.
Okay, wait. This was your mild hot take?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Okay. Mine look
So
like they
be
are.
afraid.
Mine seem like they are a 7-degree day, and you're just chilling. What the fuck?
So here's my thing.
Okay.
1, I understand this contradicts what I've said about not letting great talent walk out the door. I know that. I've said that. T. Higgins is cheaper than Jamar Chase is. T.
For a
Higgins
reason.
also cannot. I know. T. Higgins also cannot be traded. So you are getting ready to lose a top weapon of his for nothing. This team has real problems defensively and at the O-line. Because they are cheap, they need draft picks. They need help. I also would have questions. I do have questions about who you are without him. You have T. Higgins, Gasecki, and Yoshivas, all of which he has good connections with. You can find a solid receiver, late round draft pick, and I would trade Jamar Chase.
Yeah, you're stupid. That's crazy. Okay.
I thought stupid was rude.
That's a stupid take. Okay.
It's if I ran the Bengals, honestly, I would trade him.
I would understand it more if it was somebody else. Okay. But because of the connection him and Burrow have, and because he's the best wide receiver in the league, not a chance.
No, that's fair. Here's my thing. If it were any other franchise, I wouldn't trade it.
I don't even think. No, I don't care.
It's because it's this one. They are so fucking cheap.
I know that. They won't re-sign Higgins.
I think you...
But that is not ever going to happen.
I didn't say it was going to happen. I said it's what I would do.
And you're crazy for thinking that. No, I would not do that in a million years. I would let T. Higgins walk. I would even try to re-sign T. Higgins.
Okay, that's crazy. We're talking about the fucking Bengals here. All right? There's no way in hell they're going to pay Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, you're saying what I would do. You're saying what you would do. You would trade.
Yeah. No,
what I would do is just re-sign T. Higgins. You know, there's a thought.
Isn't an unfair point. Given what I know about the Bengals, someone's leaving that building.
If you're putting me
at this present moment,
if you're giving me the option, I have to pick either Jamar Chase or T. Higgins to stay. I am not even batting an eye. I'm picking Jamar Chase 10 out of 10 times.
That's fair. He's a better receiver. He's a far better receiver. I don't disagree with that point at all. As the Bengals, because I'm cheap, and because we have real holes at other spots, and by the way, this comes with the knowledge, comes with the knowledge that Burrow and Chase are not enough to get us into the playoffs. I know that for a fact now.
Yes,
we need a better defense. We need a better O-line.
Yes. I would still keep Chase no matter what, and you can still draft at defense and offensive line even with the picks they have, because they still have all their picks. They did not trade any of their picks away.
I know. For me, that's what I would do. Is my mild take. I thought it was a mild take.
That's not mild. That's crazy. That is
Can't
psychotic.
wait till I say my next one.
That is psychotic. Oh my
Yeah, I
god.
would trade Chase. I would trade him.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, so on to my take, which I don't even think is a hot take, I guess.
Comparatively now.
Yeah.
Say
So
it and we'll see.
I think obviously this part isn't the hot take. Mike Tomlin should be fired. This isn't a hot take.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Mike Tomlin should be fired. They have very little playoff success, all these things. What I think the main reason he should be fired is he's the longest tenured head coach in the league. That's just a fact.
Yep.
Um, can you name to me how many head coaches in the league currently don't have a coaching tree?
Holy shit. Holy shit.
As the longest tenured
He doesn't
as the
at
longest tenured
all.
as the longest tenured head coach in the league, he does not have a single coach in a coaching tree. He does not have a coaching tree. It is empty. Nothing. And he's one of the only ones that isn't a first year head coach.
That's insane. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That is the biggest
Because
reason.
I had a similar opinion, but a different path I took. My brain took.
Yeah, he
That's
is
crazy.
as the longest tenured head coach. He does not have a single coach in his coaching tree. He has not
That's
produced
insane.
a NFL head coach
Ever. That's
ever.
Oh my god. That's flooring. That's flooring knowledge.
I found this out the other day. Someone said it. I cannot take full credit for this. I was watching. I was scrolling on Instagram Reels, because I don't like TikTok. I think it's stupid. Scrolling Instagram Reels, and a
It's
guy,
going away anyway.
yeah, and a guy said it, and I was like, "That's not true. This is just rage bait."
It is.
And then I looked it up, and I
That's
actually
crazy.
did research.
Yeah,
He does not have a coaching tree.
that's crazy.
He has not produced a single NFL head coach.
I have a question, and we're dialoguing. Is Mike Tomlin a good defensive coach? Or is he a really, really good defensive scout? Here's my thought process, and stay with me, and then give me your opinion. You take the great minded coaches on either side of the ball. Eventually, can do more with less. That's the idea.
Yeah.
That's why you're a coach.
Yep.
The Steelers have the most expensive defense in the NFL because you have TJ Watt, Cam Hayward,
Minka.
and Minka Fitzpatrick. But when push comes to shove every year, your defense is tired. Your defense is hurt. Your defense cannot find the will to keep going. Are you a good coach or are you a great scout?
At one point, okay, I do think this has changed in the last couple of seasons. I would have said he is a great, a great head coach. He's a great players coach.
Yeah.
I think that has changed over the past couple seasons, because I do think the effort his players have been putting in has gotten worse and worse over the years. I think we saw the same thing with Pete Carroll. Truthfully, I
Yeah.
think hearing the same message over and over again is getting old to these guys. And without success,
That's fair.
So at one
Um,
point, my answer would have been he
I
was a great
can't
head coach.
take credit for this. I watched the facility. The way they phrased it is the message has become watered down.
Stale was
Because you just
yeah.
said the message I was like, that's how they put it. I think at some point you have to stop buying your defense. You have to put some money into this offense.
Yeah,
And you
this
have to be
is
able to coach a good defense.
that's crazy. Yeah. No,
But right now it's bought and paid for.
yeah. I think he should be fired, but not because like obviously because it's been bad, but then you look at it. He cannot produce NFL head coaches.
I,
And
that's crazy. That's crazy.
the reason I say that's a bad thing is that means he's never hiring coordinators that are truly great coordinators.
Well, and you think about it. None of his coordinators,
And his system just isn't working anymore.
like all of his coordinators are like former something.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't hire young guys to develop and teach. He hires people that should just be able to know what they're doing and he can leave them alone.
Yeah. Cause yeah.
We have Arthur Smith at OC. Like
And
that's crazy. That's
yeah,
crazy.
the reason he doesn't have a coaching tree is seriously because he just it's because his system doesn't work.
His system is no
And
longer it's not applicable to the modern day NFL.
that.
You need an offense.
So yeah, it's insane.
You need an offense. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. So along these lines comes my second hot take. A little concerned you're going to come through the computer because I didn't think Jamar Chase was that crazy. And I know what I'm about to say. How to start this.
Okay.
I'm going to ease into it because I think
All
if I
right.
just say it, you're not going to let me explain.
Just
So often with teams, like we were seeing with Steelers,
okay.
Cowboys, lots of these teams, they hold on to coaches for too long.
Yeah.
And the message becomes watered down. And eventually,
Mm-hmm.
really good
Mm-hmm.
teams digress
Yep.
because you're paying an elite quarterback. You're never getting top round draft picks, all of these things. You're not getting as good of talent.
Yep.
So a team begins to digress. You're making a face, and I haven't even said anything yet.
Because I think I know where this is going. But continue.
So, to avoid that happening, I would trade Dan Campbell. And then promote Aaron Glenn. So you keep the similar messaging, but new life.
That's
And
not the name
then,
I thought you were gonna say.
okay, and then
But I'm honestly more pissed off with the name you said.
Dan Campbell is a great head coach. I have a lot of respect for him and what he's done with Detroit. I have concerns about your ride or die identity can hurt you. The Ravens do have to be able to throw the ball. You have to evolve. The Steelers need an offense. You have to evolve. I love Campbell's identity. You have to be able to evolve. You are no longer the underdog. People now expect things of this team. Hold on. I like the mentality. You have to pick and choose your moments. It has, can, and will cost you games, especially important games. I think that to avoid this team is young. As it gets older, you're going to have to pay a lot of them. You're going to stop getting first round or top draft picks. To circumvent the problems that can and do tend to historically occur without a Tom Brady or a Patrick Mahomes, that's pretty much it. I would trade Dan Campbell at the end of this season, no matter how it ended. I would promote Aaron Glenn and then move forward as an organization. I think if you don't promote within, the players will riot. You have to promote Glenn or Johnson. I prefer Glenn.
Okay. You know how I said your last take, and you were like, it was rude for you to call it stupid? No, now
Yeah.
you're just genuinely stupid. Okay? I don't necessarily disagree with the point of as coaches go, it tends to get worse. That is a
That's all
true
I'm saying.
statement.
That's all I'm saying.
I think, okay, that there were certain coaches that does not apply to.
I have a reason why it does apply to him.
And I have a reason it doesn't.
Tell me your reason.
I think because of how Danble is a coach, because he's not doesn't call plays,
Yeah.
isn't a side of the ball.
Yep.
It doesn't apply to him because I think that's the difference. Is you talk about any of these head coaches that have a side of the ball. This is why I think
Yeah.
it doesn't apply to Harbaugh either currently.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have a side of the ball. Now, if at the end of this year he proves he can't hire coordinators like Glenn or Johnson again, and they regress that way, then yes, you can make that decision. But because he does not have a side of the ball, he doesn't have to adapt to the game as much as a play caller coach would. And I think that's the difference. Is when these
That is a very respectable point.
that's the difference. I
I
think it's
respect the
when the head coaches have a specific side of the ball that they focus on more. And I don't think you can say that about Dan Campbell currently because he doesn't call anything. He's never called anything.
Yeah.
He's a player's coach in the most true way you can put it. And I think that's the difference.
So here's my counter. Because all fair points. I don't disagree with any of them. One, there's the wild unknown of who are you without these coordinators? You are losing one or both at the end of this year, regardless. When I worked in grocery stores, there was 19 stores in a district, and every department in the store has a department manager. And randomly, they would pick us up in a department and shuffle us about. In every district, every department has one or two fixers. They're not the best manager, and they're not likely to move up, but they will solve any and every problem you have at any store. Dan Campbell has proven to me so far to be a great fixer. He is such a player's coach. He doesn't have a side of the ball. He focuses on culture and on mentality. What I have not seen is the ability for that mentality to adapt, to grow. He is a fixer guy. That's great. when you are a dumpster fire in the league. That is great when you're trying to build up an organization that's been shit for 50 plus years. When you are an elite team on an elite trajectory, I don't know that it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I just don't know that it works. So,
Nope. Still think this is stupid.
that's fair. It's a I don't think you can call a hot take stupid. It's a hot take. You can disagree with it, or you
Nope.
wouldn't do it.
There are hot takes you can say are stupid, and this is one of them. There are hot takes that make sense, that are intelligent, and then there are that.
Look, I left alone your fire. Can't even use Shannon.
Cal Shanahan.
Yeah.
I still think you do that, but that's a whole different thing.
I'm not saying.
That's a different thing, though.
I'm not even saying I would do this. I just think it's on the table. I would make a phone call. I would make a couple. I would not trade him to the Raiders. I have too much respect for him for that. I would call the Bears. Okay. I probably wouldn't call the Bears. I wouldn't trade him to a division rival. I wouldn't trade him to a division rival.
I'm very glad you said that, because I was about to say you are the worst general manager I've ever seen in my entire goddamn life if you do that.
I immediately, I was like, no. I had a team that I was like, them I would call. Maybe it was the Raiders.
The Cowboys?
No. He wouldn't get along with Jerry Jones. Maybe it was the Raiders.
They're the only other team I can think of, to be honest with you, that need a head coach.
Raiders, Saints, Jets.
Jets, that's the one.
I would maybe call the Jets, because then not only I would call the Jets. That's what I would call.
I still think this is so dumb.
It's a hot take. I was thinking about it.
Nope. That's a stare. That is a terror. Like, no. Until, again, I think the thing.
Here's my thing.
Because here's the thing. I think we've seen it this year. Okay? And I think the difference is, last year, it was all about biting kneecaps, stuff like that. You're building up. Yeah. You're finally a good team. You're the underdog. This year, he's changed. Just watch his end of game speeches to the team. Do yourself a favor and do it.
I have.
All of those speeches do not say you're the underdog. He has yet to say that this year. He has called his team elite. And he's saying, you are elite, and that was an elite performance. That's the difference. He has evolved.
There's verbiage, and then there's mentality and tone, and how we approach things.
I still think it's fine that he keeps his tone of not necessarily underdogs, but we are the city, because that is the city of Detroit. Okay?
No, and I agree with that. Here's the thing. Everything I'm saying is predicated on the assumption it could go wrong.
I just wouldn't assume that yet.
And that's fair.
Because here's the reason why. No one thought Aaron Glenn or Ben Johnson would be good play callers.
Yeah.
And look where they're at now. And
he has done incredible things.
There are still people on that staff you can promote that I guarantee you will fit and be just as good.
I don't disagree with any of that. I don't think there's a current problem in Detroit. I don't think there's a current problem in Detroit. And I think there's potential for a problem down the line. I feel like so often organizations wait until it goes to shit. And then we have no way out.
But I just
We're the Steelers, we're the Saints.
Okay, but I just don't think you can do that.
I mean, you can.
Not after... No. Okay. For example, let's say the Lions go on to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
You're not firing him after that. Let's agree to
I
that.
didn't say. I want to be very clear. I did not say fire him.
Okay, you're not
I said
trading him
trade
after he wins the Super Bowl.
He's worth a lot more then.
You're a fucking idiot. If you're telling me you would trade the head coach that just won a Super Bowl.
Andy Reid was fired the year after. It happens all the time.
He was... Well, no. I'm talking, you would trade him the minute after he won the Super Bowl.
I would wait a week.
That is stupid.
I'm not even saying I would for sure. I would make a phone call. I would make a phone call. Yeah.
That's still stupid. No, just no. Just no. 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 You've broken my brain. I'm done. No. No.
You got it. You're okay. You're not firing Dan. You're not trading Dan Campbell.
I'm not trading Dan Campbell until he proves that he cannot fucking coach.
That's fair. That's fair.
And to be honest with you, I don't think he's ever going to prove that he cannot fucking coach. Because I think there are just some people that can coach, and there's some people that can't.
I completely agree with the point.
And I think the difference is I think he's a true coach.
I agree with that as well.
And that's the difference. So I think he could almost coach forever.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you.
No, you don't, because you're willing to fucking trade him. Oh,
that's not the same thing.
No, I think he can coach the Lions till the day he dies and be just
having
fine.
Faith in his ability to coach, and having faith in his ability to coach this team are not the same thing.
Okay,
it's not the same thing.
It's not, and I have faith he can coach this team till the day he dies.
Okay.
And I think you're kind of insane to even mildly think to trade him. Because, yeah, you've pissed me off with this one.
I've seen it so often.
I've seen it
so often.
I will agree. It's happened.
It happens all the time. It's not it happens. It happens all the time.
Yeah. Okay. But here's my thing.
You can't name me a head coach that didn't stall out.
But you just said...
with their franchise.
I can't. You're right. But here's the thing. You were willing to trade him after winning the Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
That is psychotic behavior. When you could
the Eagles did it.
They did it the year following the Super Bowl. That's different.
He's worth more now. They didn't trade him. They fired him.
That's also
They fired
different.
him. I don't want to fire him. I want to trade him. I want him worth something.
You wouldn't have to fire him. This is so
I don't know
dumb.
when his contract's up. I don't know.
This is so dumb.
Maybe you give it another year, but yeah, I would make a phone call. I know what the coach market looks like right now.
Yeah. And you're telling me.
And I know Aaron Glenn and Johnson are about to walk out my building, and I don't want them to. Because of this team, I want to promote within. So I trade him this year, and I promote one of them.
No. That is a great way to become worse. That is a great way to fuck your franchise.
I don't think it does.
I think it does.
Okay.
I think, because here's the thing. I think some other coaches you can get away with it. But they love Dan Campbell way too much.
I know, which is why I have to promote within.
I don't think that helps. I don't think that helps. I still think they tell you to go fuck yourself.
Potentially.
And you've just fucked your franchise for the next.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't just do this. I would definitely have a conversation with at least my captains.
And your captains are going to tell you to go fuck yourself like I am.
If I genuinely think I'm going to lose the entire locker room, then I don't do it. But it's a phone call.
You're losing.
It's a phone call.
I don't give a shit.
You are so upset. You're acting like I'm trading your head coach right now.
No, seriously. You would lose the entire locker room. Because that's who Dan Campbell is.
I don't know that I would.
You would.
I don't know that I would.
You would.
I'd have a conversation with Goff. I'd get a feel.
Goff will definitely tell you to go fuck yourself.
Then don't do it. It's not some written in stone thing. I just think it's a path worth exploring.
I don't know. I don't think it's worth exploring.
Okay. Well, you're not the one doing it. It was my hot take.
And it's a stupid hot take.
You don't like it. You're personally offended by it.
No, because I don't like it because it makes no sense for a team to do that. It makes no
Makes
sense.
plenty of sense.
It makes no sense for that team to do this right now. It makes zero sense to me. At all.
I think it makes more sense to do it.
You think
Because
it makes
here's what happens. So here's what happens. We wait and we give them the benefit of the doubt and we wait some more and then we fire them.
Yeah, that does happen. Correct.
Versus they've had success. They've done great things with this franchise. I respect it. I appreciate it. We are a business. So I am choosing to get value from you while I know I still can.
Okay.
I know you are worth
Sure.
that.
Sure. Okay.
I don't know that you are worth more trophies.
Okay. Dan Campbell wins the Super Bowl this year. You trade him away for 2 first-round picks.
Okay.
He then goes on to another team. You now suck. You've promoted Aaron Glenn.
Yeah.
Like you want to. You now suck again because your players hated the decision.
Yep.
And maybe Aaron Glenn isn't a good head coach. So now
Yep.
the Lions are back to square one. But now
Yep.
they have 2 first-round picks. Okay. You probably have to spend one on a quarterback because Goff is old.
Mm-hmm.
So that sets you to a rookie deal. All right. Then you draft somebody else. Fuck it. I don't care. But you get a first-round quarterback. While that's happening, Dan Campbell goes to the Jets or
Mm-hmm.
the Raiders. Fuck it. Pick one. We'll say the Raiders because
Okay.
they're not in a position to draft a quarterback this year anyway. So they can kind of afford to get rid of their first-round pick. This year doesn't go well for him because he doesn't have a quarterback. And that's expected. What if he then has extreme success with the Raiders and you fucked your franchise by doing this and you draft the wrong quarterback? Aaron Glenn turns out to be shit. Let's just say not a good head coach. Happens. Then what? You fucked your franchise because you thought you could get more value now.
Counterpoint. I keep Dan Campbell. We don't win the Super Bowl this year. We are always a decent team, good team. We make the playoffs, can't get over the hump. I'm not picking high enough. Jared Goff is old. I have no pick for a quarterback. And now my entire team is expensive.
Then you fire him. If he can't get it done, then you fire.
Your plan,
But
so
here's the
your
thing.
worst case scenario isn't any better or worse than my worst case scenario.
Your worst case scenario puts you further behind. If Aaron Glenn doesn't work, you're now hiring another head coach.
Yep.
You are now having a rookie quarterback. And depending on how long you think Aaron Glenn's good enough, it depends on how long you're into that QB contract.
Yep.
So you might have another QB you have to pay if he's good enough, or you have to draft another one.
Yep.
Okay. You are now pissed off your owner because you are no longer winning. So as a GM, you now sit there and might fear for your job because you just fired a winning quarterback. Or no, a winning coach. A coach that's proven to win.
Yep.
And you've done nothing with it. So now you're getting fired.
Yep.
And you're fine with that.
No. But again, your worst case scenario and my worst case scenario.
But your worst case scenario looks worse on you as the GM for going, we'll trade him. Rather than.
Potentially. Yeah. Potentially. Yeah.
So you just lost your job and probably will never get a job in the NFL again.
So I guess all of this was done from the perspective of the owner, not the GM.
Okay, if you're the owner, then you won't lose your job. You're the owner.
Yeah, the
But
GM, I don't think I definitely wouldn't do this as the GM.
as the owner, you've now pit. So if you win the Super Bowl, you make money. We all agree. You make
Yes,
more money winning the Super Bowl than being a shitty team.
absolutely.
You make more money for winning than you are as a shitty team.
Yeah.
Okay. So as the owner, does it make sense to fire or to trade a winning head coach that will make you more money than a potential other head coach that you have no idea what's happening? You could
Essentially.
lose more money. You could possibly never go to the playoffs again. You could possibly never make the Super Bowl again
Mhm,
and lose more money in the long run than
mhm,
simply keeping Dan Campbell, winning maybe a Super Bowl, maybe just being a consistent NFC championship team. That's what he's pretty much proven to be once he's got a team in place where
mhm.
you're going to make more money there. So you're willing to sacrifice. So even if you fire him and you have to pay 2 head coaches, I still think you lose more money by trading him and potentially not being good than eventually, if his philosophy gets stale, firing him and having to pay 2 head coaches.
You are correct.
So how, as an owner, does that make sense for you to do?
If I own a football team, money is not my only priority. And I do think,
Then winning is a priority. You're going to get rid of a
yes,
winning head coach.
because I know where this goes. I know where this has a statistical likelihood. My reality,
It could go. It
statistically,
probably will
is
go there.
probably going to happen.
So would you?
Your reality is more of a potential,
Okay. Here's the thing, though.
whereas mine is a probability.
Probably will get stale. You're probably gonna have to get rid of him at some point. It's inevitable. Happens to every coach. Not gonna disagree with that. Here's the thing. You're still gonna have more success with him in the short term and make more money than probably, because we've seen hiring a head coach is not a guarantee.
No, you are absolutely correct. These players right now, this roster right now, is getting older. They are going to get more expensive. You are drafting late from here on out. Jared Goff is getting older right now. He does not have a rookie quarterback right now. He does not have a young quarterback or a fresh off the fucking boat team right now. If he did, I don't have this opinion. Because of where this team is at right now, that's why I make this call.
I still don't think you do. I
And that's fair. You have every right to disagree with me. You have made valid points. That is where I'm coming from.
okay. Still think it's stupid.
You've made me like die hard on a take that it wasn't. It was meant to be a take or like an opinion, or like a passing thing, and
No,
you've
because
taken personal offense to it.
it's a stupid take.
It's a take. I don't think it's stupid.
Nope.
All right, I think it's crazy. I don't think it's stupid. So you had another hot take.
Nope.
Let it
We're
be
just
something
not
crazy
even.
so I can call it stupid. No,
Nope.
what was it? You said you had two.
My second one is I actually think the Broncos should fire Sean Payton. That's where I'm at. And here's my reasoning.
Why?
Sure, he's proven that he can work with Bo Nix. But I
Uh-huh.
think they're down the stretch and his lack of. Okay, let me put it this way. He's far too passive even with the sickness, but Sean Payton's been far too passive as a head coach right now. You've seen it. In the way that he approached the Bengals game and the Bills game, he was far too passive.
Okay. In his play calling.
In his play, yes.
Okay.
And in his style. And I don't know if that's just because he thinks Bo Nix is a rookie. And even then, I think that's a stupid idea.
Nope. That's fair. That's fair.
So I think you should fire him. And I also am judging this based off of the last few years in New Orleans. I just don't think he has it to be successful in the playoffs and when it matters the most. Because I don't think he has the aggression or the ability to be flexible in what he wants to do. You've seen
That's fair.
he approached the end of the Bengals game how he would approach any game, any moment. And it bit them in the ass because he was unable to change the way he thought in that moment. He went to the run, and he didn't let Bo Nix be Bo Nix in that moment. We saw it against the Bills. The Broncos had the most success against the Bills when Bo Nix was allowed to be Bo Nix. And he was allowed to move with the ball, was allowed to run with the ball, was allowed to make his own decisions. And I think we saw that. Is when you took the ball out of Bo Nix's hands and said, you can't make a decision, it's going here, or we're running it, the Broncos had less success. And that's the issue with Sean Payton. He has far too much of an ego to allow his quarterback
to have control.
Yes. And that's why
that is not unfair. I would maybe wait.
Maybe.
So here's my thing. I would maybe wait one more year, but I recognize, because I would want to see if he adapts, if he thinks Bo's grown some, so we open it up a little bit, or the counter to that is, do we stunt Bo's development?
And that would be the only reason I would say wait, is because Bo Nix is a rookie. You don't want to completely change his entire shit. And that's fine.
System and everything. I would maybe go one more year. Because you and I have talked about this extensively, if we keep like, when are you going to open the playbook? When are you going to... And so I do agree with that point. I would maybe go one more year. And if we continue to see that, the passiveness, then yeah, I would move on. I do agree with that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
All right.
You're just mad.
Okay, sure. I just think it's not a great idea.
And that's fair. I respect that. I don't think anybody on the planet would think it is. Like, I would love to, if someone in the comments is with me, please God, speak up. You can at least understand where I'm coming from.
We'll see.
Or we'll get so much hate. I will get so much hate for that. I love Dan Campbell. I want to be super clear. He's a great coach.
Okay.
I've seen the inevitability.
Okay.
All right. Now that we've gotten hot takes out and Brendan has called me stupid countless number of times, let's look ahead to the divisional round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you want to kick it off with the NFC?
NFC, we got 2 games, obviously. We got the Philadelphia Eagles at home against the Los Angeles Rams. That is Sunday at noon. Should be an interesting one. Obviously, Rams are going to be heavy underdogs because the Eagles are a great team. but we'll see. Obviously, the Rams been there, done that, so we'll see what happens. But if I had to guess, Eagles. And then the Washington Commanders are playing the Detroit Lions in Detroit. That game is Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific. Two Dan's going to battle it out. Two great head coaches in the league, despite what Dallas thinks.
They are, fuck you.
Should be a great game. Kind of thinking maybe the defenses just don't show up in that game and let the QBs play. We'll see. I'm obviously going to take Detroit. They've just proven it this year that they are a great football team. So we'll really see what happens. Should be a good game.
I don't think this is a hot take. I really wish they did like AFC on Saturday and then NFC on Sunday. That's how I feel. Kind of bugs the shit out of me.
I didn't realize they did it until I looked at it.
Yeah. They used to, and then last year they switched it up, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Saturday, Houston at Kansas City, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So 4:30 Eastern time.
Yep.
Look, Kansas City is coming off of a lot of rest.
But it's also Kansas
City. Still think they have the clear upper hand. That's if they don't, I will bow to the Texans. I really will. That's fucking.
I will praise the Texans for.
Yeah.
I'll be rooting for the Texans. I just don't think they'll win.
But I agree. I'm rooting for the Texans. I just don't think it's gonna happen that way. Sunday, Baltimore is at Buffalo at 3:30 Pacific time, 6:30 Eastern time. I don't know. I don't get it.
It's a weird.
It's supposed to be super cold. I don't have to play in it. Lamar doesn't like the cold, but he plays fine in it.
I'm like, you're from Baltimore, or you play in Baltimore?
In it. He's from Florida, and he acts like it.
I was trying to say you play in Baltimore. Yeah. I know he's from Florida, and he's a little Florida guy that hates the cold. It's fine. But if you play in Baltimore, you should probably get used to the cold.
Yes, he does play in the cold. He does practice in the cold.
Just not the
even though
Bills cold, because
they do have breed. Yes, it is supposed to be 13 degrees.
Fucking Christ!
It's gonna feel like 4.
Have fun with that.
So maybe it was 16. It was in that range. It's very cold. I do think in its own right that's advantage Baltimore. In the cold, the run game is pretty powerful, and sometimes guys don't want to tackle. And people already don't want to tackle Derrick Henry, so we shall see. Here's the thing. It's going to be a good matchup. I do go edge Baltimore.
Two MVP front runners battling it out. Should be great.
It should be a good game. Should be a close game. I would be shocked if I don't think it will look like their first matchup where Baltimore runs away with it. I do give advantage Baltimore. And so does Vegas. Currently. They are the favorite. The way this team is playing, the way they've developed and gotten better over the last few weeks, offensively and defensively. Obviously, I want Zay Flowers. 1, in the cold, I'm not sure how much we're throwing the ball that deep anyway.
Fair.
2, I do think Aguilar and Bateman can kind of make up for his absence. Unless the run game can get going. And then there's a chance it looks like the Steelers game. So, or the first time they saw Buffalo, they just ran the ball a shit ton.
Yep.
But should be a good game. I do think if Baltimore wins this, they have the chance to go to the Super Bowl. I think if Buffalo wins, they're getting bounced in the championship game.
I was going to say the winner of this probably goes to Super Bowl.
I don't know that Buffalo can get past KC.
I don't know. I think if there was a year for them to do it, it would be this year.
I agree with that point. I don't disagree with
That's what
that.
I'm going to say. Whoever wins this game makes the Super Bowl. That's
Has a
my
chance.
prediction. That's my prediction.
So that's fair. Um. So yeah, should be a good weekend of games. Should be fun. Um. Brennan gets to the luxury of just enjoying the
Chilling.
games. I will
Yeah. My stress
try and
comes
get to
Monday.
that.
My stress
Um.
comes Monday with Notre Dame. So I'm pretty happy.
So. Yeah, I should be good. And obviously, we will talk all of those games next week.
Yeah. That does it
Did
for us, I
you
think.
have anything else?
No.
No. You want to yell at me some more?
I mean, always, but I think we can
Fair
leave
enough.
it. You haven't
Alrighty.
done anything again to worth yelling at.
Oh, well, that's good.
I don't think I was yelling at you about Dan Campbell. I think we were calm.
Your face was yelling.
That, sure, but I did not actually yell at you.
What? Your face had a tone.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I think this is it for. I think that does it for us this week. Unless Dallas has something else.
I don't think I do.
All right.
I dropped my 2 insane bombs, and now I'm just gonna walk off into the sunset.
Fair enough. That all being said, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. If you agree with Dallas, let her know.
Please, God, somebody.
If you
At least
don't,
tell me you get where I'm coming from.
let her know. But yeah, make sure to really let her know that you don't agree, because that was bold. Yeah. That being said, I've been
If
Brendan.
we have any Detroit fans, I think we're gonna find out.
Oh yeah, Detroit fans, just let her have it. But yeah, that being said, I've been Brendan.
And I've been Dallas.
And this has been Flock Sense Podcast. Thank y'all.
Bye.